As always, thanks for being a part of our broadcast here today as we bring you the Taylor University Trojans under the direction of longtime coach Kyle Gould. 26 wins and 12 losses on the season, taking on the Bethel Pilots. The Pilots coming into today's game, 9 wins, 19 setbacks, 5-10 in league play. Very special afternoon for yours truly joining me on the broadcast. He wore jersey number 21 when he threw the ball around the yard here at Jankum Stadium at Patterson Field. Our good friend and Bethel Hall of Famer Justin Masterson joining us on the broadcast. And, of course, stay tuned for our interviews with both of our coaches. All right, big fella, good to have you back. It's been a long time. I'm glad we got the band back together here for a beautiful day of baseball here in Mishawaka, Indiana. It takes you back for some memories, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does. I'm excited to be back here. I'm glad that everything opened up so I could come hang out with you again because it's been a little while.
It has been a while. We're glad you can join us here. We're going to hear some thoughts from Kyle Gould as well as Justin Masterson. Both those guys got an interesting thought for big number 63. He wore that jersey when he played for the Red Sox and for the Tribe. We'll get some thoughts on how that kind of played itself out. But we're glad you can join us here today. It is a busy day in the Crossroads League across the Michiana area and across the three-state area, as the Pilots are just one of half a dozen games going into action. The Pilots in this particular situation have lost 5 straight to Taylor University. Pilots, of course, hosting here the Trojans. Spring Arbor is hosting Goshen this afternoon. Grace is taking care of the business at hand against Indiana Wesleyan. St. Francis is hosting Mount Vernon, Ohio, and Huntington, of course, will be hosting Marion. That are some of the games as you look at the league standings right now. It is a bottleneck even near the top at Marion at 10-3, Huntington at 11-4, Grace at 8-7. Right in the middle of the pack, Mount Vernon at 6-6, Spring Arbor and Indiana Wesleyan at 7-8, Taylor at 6-8, Goshen at 6-9, St. Francis at 6-9, and the Pilots at 5-10 respectively. Indiana Wesleyan was the preseason number 1. Well, that's not looking too good right now. They're in the number 6 spot. Taylor was preseason number 2. And guess where they're at? They're in the number 7 spot. So much for preseason rankings, Justin. And once again, I don't know how many times you've probably seen this throughout the course of your baseball career. Your team is particularly favored to win a division. The next thing you know, injury here, injury there, a wide variety of things. The next thing you know, you're on the outside looking in, and it's just part of sports.
That's the great thing about especially baseball. It seems to happen so often where everyone comes in with high expectations, but you never really know until you get out there and see exactly what you got. And unfortunately, injuries will get you.
I had a chance to spend some time with Kyle Gould and got his thoughts on his team that takes the field today in search of their 7th win in league play. College baseball here today from sun-soaked Mishawaka, Indiana. Glad you can join us here for college baseball. Now joining us here, Kyle Gould, the baseball coach here at Taylor University. First of all, let me start right now. Congratulations on your 500th win earlier in the season. Tremendous career thus far.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. We been blessed. We've had just a ton of great players and guys just committed to being great teammates, and we've been able to retain them and keep guys here for 4 years. And we just hope they've enjoyed their experience, hope they've developed as men, and left Taylor ready to make an impact on the world.
When you look on the season thus far for you, Kyle, it's been the non-league schedule certainly was adventurous, but you guys were able to take on really most of the challenges and really were a dominant team throughout the course of the non-league season. The conference season has been adventurous as well, maybe on the opposite side of things where you haven't performed up to what you would expect.
Yeah, we've had our struggles in the conference, and first thing is credit the teams that have beaten us. I think it's always easy when you lose to point what you do poorly and not give the credit where it's due to the opposition. So, we've won a lot of close games and we've dropped a lot of close games. So we're, have a really good overall record, and the conference record isn't where we'd like it to be. And hopefully the offense can be a little more consistent, and our starting pitching can get us a little bit deeper in the game, so we don't have to go to the bullpen quite so early.
One thing has been apparent that the league this year has showed as much parity as we've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, I don't think you have a dominant team this year, and I think really what it is, you don't have a dominant offense this year. And when we went on a run of winning a bunch of league titles in a row, or when Bethel had their great run, or Mount Vernon won it 2 years in a row, Huntington had a good year, or I think a lot of that is just a dominant offense that can carry you when you because games are going to get backed up in the Midwest, and so when the pitching isn't lined up the way you want, you just have an offense that can carry you. And when you have a chance on a nice day like today, that offense can score a bunch of runs and kind of save some pitching.
When you look at the team you're going to be facing here today and Seth's team, you guys have been together a long time across the diamond, and of course certainly a lot of great competition over the years. You guys have had the upper hand in the last 4 or 5 games. Give us an idea what concerns you about Seth's boys.
Well, I really appreciate Seth as a friend and think he does a great job over here at Bethel. I think, just looking at them on paper and knowing their guys, that the front of that lineup is really athletic, and they have some guys, a couple new guys and some returners, and I think when they have scored well, the front of that lineup has really carried them a little bit, and so you got to work really hard and make quality pitches to keep those guys off base. Here lately, that pitching, they held a good Marion team down a couple times, and Huntington, they got a game there, had a chance to get another one. It looks like their pitching is coming on and holding their opponents down.
All right, final thought. What do you got to do to win today?
Well, I think Clay Riggins gonna make his first start of the year, and hopefully he can get us into the middle innings. Our bullpen has been our strength. Our bullpen and our defense have been our strength, and so, when our starting pitching has gotten us even into the 4th, 5th, 6th inning, that's a huge thing for us, and we can turn it over to the bullpen who've been fantastic for us, and then it also just gives our offense a chance to kind of get going a little bit and let us play a tight game. So I think getting a good start and then hopefully offensively piece some things together and have a big inning somewhere in there.
Final thought, my broadcast partner, who had a stellar career here for 2 years, is back in the booth. It's kind of neat. We get the band back together. I'll never forget some of those days when he was on the campus. If he would pitch the first game of the doubleheader, he'd end up in the broadcast booth as my broadcast partner. It's kind of weird seeing your broadcast partner out there in the American League All-Star game and those kind of situations. But he's also been a great ambassador for this league as a whole. And for you, I know he stopped by your campus and shared some of his thoughts there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Jody Martinez, or Jody Martinez, I guess, in his Bethel days, kind of hooked me up. We do a thing every year. We have a speaker come in every week in the off season, talk about what does it mean to be a man. And so we were able to get Justin to come up and speak to our guys, and he did a great job talking about his career and like what he valued, what was important to him, and what he thought all of our guys needed to hear as they leave college and head into hopefully adulthood. So I hadn't sent it to him yet, but I actually took a picture of the mound when I got here, and I was going to send it to him and just text it to him and say, man, I'm glad you're not on the mound today. But I think I can I'm glad to know he'll be here. It'll be good to just say hi to him and reconnect. But he was fantastic. He was a great ambassador for Bethel, and had talked about all of his baseball experiences here, San Diego State, pro ball, the big leagues, and he told the guys like the most special bonds I formed were at Bethel. And I think that was really cool, and for our guys to hear that. And yeah.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, Paul.
We'll be back with more of college baseball right after this on Regional Radio Sports.
That's pretty good stuff.
It is. I paid him off to say
There you
some
go.
wise and good things.
When you get in the opportunity to talk with the student athletes and you're in that environment, I mean you're not too far since removed.
No.
From being in this, being here. I mean, maybe necessarily at the college level, but being involved in an environment of athletes. You're volunteer coaching now down at Fisher's.
Right.
So you're around athletes, but when you hear these guys talk about that, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's great. It's the thing that's kind of neat because it's a special bond that I always say that nobody, as much as you try and be around the game as much as you want and you can talk it, unless you've played or coached within it, you don't really understand and appreciate what it takes to try and get through that. And that's at all levels. When you go to college, no matter what level it is, when you go into pro ball, it's the exact same thing. So there's this brotherhood that has been created that you can step in and guys appreciate it and love it. And so to be able to go and talk and try and hopefully say something impactful, even if it's just to one or two guys, to help them maybe in the season, in life, because that's ultimately this game's not going to last forever for any of us. So ultimately, when it's time to be a man, step up and be a man.
And one of the guys I think has stepped up to be a great man in the entire time that I've known him, and I've been blessed to be sitting in this broadcast booth for 16 years as his voice and eyes. Seth Zartman now. Time for the Seth Zartman pregame show.
College baseball here today from sun-soaked Mishawaka, Indiana. Glad you can join us here for college baseball. Now joining us here, Kyle Gould, the baseball coach here at Taylor University. First of all, let me start right now. Congratulations on your 500th win earlier in the season. Tremendous career thus far.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. We been blessed. We've had just a ton of great players and guys just committed to being great teammates, and we've been able to retain them and keep guys here for 4 years. And we just hope they've enjoyed their experience. Hope they've developed as men and left Taylor ready to make an impact on the world.
When you look on the season thus far for you, Kyle, it's been the non-league schedule certainly was adventurous, but you guys were able to take on really most of the challenges and really were a dominant team throughout the course of the non-league season. The conference season has been adventurous as well, maybe on the opposite side of things where you haven't performed up to what you would expect.
Yeah, we've had our struggles in the conference, and first thing is credit the teams that have beaten us. I think it's always easy when you lose to point what you do poorly and not give the credit where it's due to the opposition. So, we've won a lot of close games and we've dropped a lot of close games. So we're, have a really good overall record, and the conference record isn't where we'd like it to be. And hopefully the offense can be a little more consistent, and our starting pitching can get us a little bit deeper in the game, so we don't have to go to the bullpen quite so early.
One thing has been apparent that the league this year has showed as much parity as we've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, I don't think you have a dominant team this year, and I think really what it is, you don't have a dominant offense this year. And when we went on a run of winning a bunch of league titles in a row, or when Bethel had their great run, or Mount Vernon won it 2 years in a row, Huntington had a good year, or I think a lot of that is just a dominant offense that can carry you when you because games are going to get backed up in the Midwest, and so when the pitching isn't lined up the way you want, you just have an offense that can carry you, and when you have a chance on a nice day like today, that offense can score a bunch of runs and kind of save some pitching.
When you look at the team you're going to be facing here today and Seth's team, you guys have been together a long time across the diamond, and of course certainly a lot of great competition over the years. You guys have had the upper hand in the last 4 or 5 games. Give us an idea what concerns you about Seth's boys.
Well, I really appreciate Seth as a friend and think he does a great job over here at Bethel. I think, just looking at them on paper and knowing their guys, that the front of that lineup is really athletic, and they have some guys, a couple new guys and some returners, and I think when they have scored well, the front of that lineup has really carried them a little bit, and so you got to work really hard and make quality pitches to keep those guys off base. And here lately, that pitching, they held a good Marion team down a couple times, and Huntington, they got a game there, had a chance to get another one. It looks like their pitching is coming on and holding their opponents down.
All right, final thought. What do you got to do to win today?
Well, I think Clay Riggins gonna make his first start of the year, and hopefully he can get us into the middle innings. Our bullpen has been our strength. Our bullpen and our defense have been our strength, and so when our starting pitching has gotten us even into the 4th, 5th, 6th inning, that's a huge thing for us, and we can turn it over to the bullpen who've been fantastic for us. And then it also just gives our offense a chance to kind of get going a little bit and let us play a tight game. So I think getting a good start and then hopefully offensively piece some things together and have a big inning somewhere in there.
Final thought to my broadcast partner who had a stellar career here for 2 years is back in the booth. It's kind of neat. We get the band back together. I'll never forget some of those days when he was on the campus. If he would pitch the first game of the doubleheader, he'd end up in the broadcast booth as my broadcast partner. It's kind of weird seeing your broadcast partner out there in the American League All-Star game and those kind of situations. But he's also been a great ambassador for this league as a whole. And for you, I know he stopped by your campus and shared some of his thoughts there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Jody Martinez, or Jody Martinez, I guess, in his Bethel days, kind of hooked me up. We do a thing every year. We have a speaker come in every week in the off season, talk about what does it mean to be a man. And so we were able to get Justin to come up and speak to our guys, and he did a great job talking about his career and like what he valued, what was important to him, and what he thought all of our guys needed to hear as they leave college and head into hopefully adulthood. So I hadn't sent it to him yet, but I actually took a picture of the mound when I got here, and I was going to send it to him and just text it to him and say, man, I'm glad you're not on the mound today. But I think I can I'm glad to know he'll be here. It'll be good to just say hi to him and
All right, let's get back to the real thing. I was scheduled to play the Seth Zartman pregame show. Let's try this all over again if we have time.
College baseball here today from Jenkins Stadium at Patterson Field. Paul Condry joined by Seth Zartman here on the Seth Zartman pregame show. Seth, first of all, let's just kind of reflect back on this weekend's performance against Marion. Certainly the first game of the series, it was one that the Pilots certainly had there for the taking. Didn't get the job done, lost in some extra innings. But the second and third games certainly didn't play up to your potential.
Yeah, it was a disappointing weekend, Paul. The Friday game was obviously extremely disappointing because we had the game in our grasp and we just let it get away from us. And, the difference in, a Friday night on the road, going back to your hotel, knowing that they have to come back in the next day with a loss where we're trying to reel around and get focused for the next day. So that was a tough one to take Friday night. We showed up on Saturday, and to be completely honest, I mean, our offense just was non-existent on Saturday. We scored first inning both games and got right off, and then all of a sudden it was almost like we forgot what we were doing up there, and we didn't make good adjustments, and we allowed their starting pitchers, go complete games, and they just kept us off balance all day long, and it really topped it in the second game. We had one runner past first base from the first inning on, and you're just not going to put yourself in a position to be successful when that's happening. And I thought our pitching and defense battled fairly well. We had a couple innings on Saturday that obviously was their big innings, but again, when you have a major piece that's non-existent, it's really tough to come back from that.
All right. Well, just look at this team throughout the course of the season with 28 games. You're batting .267, but if you look at the team in league play, in 15 games, you're at .265. So, you're right where you were at throughout the course of the non-league season. So from a batting average standpoint, it's really not that bad. But the key thing in the games that I've done is the team's inability to come up with the key 2-out hit, to extend innings. Instead of a 1-run inning, now it becomes a 3-run inning and a 4-run inning. That seems to me, am I safe in saying that's been the tail of the tape?
Yeah, it kind of has been the tail of the tape. We've had probably an uncharacteristic amount of games where we've left double-digit guys on base, and especially guys in scoring position. And coming up with that key hit that puts you over the top a little bit has really eluded us, in a lot of situations as we've played to this point. So, again, it's trying to instill in these guys, their approach in that situation, their game plan, what they're really trying to look for at the plate to swing at and put a good barrel on. And, we just got to keep preaching it, and hopefully, it's kind of like one of those streaks where, you kind of get in a slump, but we got to figure a way out of it, and we need to, because it doesn't get any easier moving forward.
Well, the Orioles' Chris Davis is 0 for 49 before he finally got a hit. As in a lifelong Orioles fan, let's just hope it doesn't last that long. Okay, let's talk about Kyle's team. Always one of the most fundamentally sound teams that you see, and once again, year in and year, they're in the top 3 or 4 in the league.
Yeah, they are, and there's really no change from a type of Taylor team that you're going to see. They're going to battle. And they're going to find a way to win. They seem to find a way to steal a base or, get a hit or, things like that. And, Kyle's done a great job with that program. It's been pretty consistent for many years. And I think that's what we're going to get today. And, again, we have to be on top of our game. I tell our guys all the time, we have to play the game, make the routine. We have to do it well from our standpoint. If we do, we can be successful. And I think Taylor does that well day in and day out. And, again, I say this a lot, and you've heard me say this a lot.
Every game.
Yeah, but I mean, it honestly comes down to who makes the less mistakes, who makes more routines, and who can come up with a big hit. And if that happens, hopefully we've got a battle going on out there today.
Well, I'm blessed. We're blessed today because, fortunately, in 2005, 2006, I was blessed. You were blessed to have your greatest teams to start your career here. And we're fortunate to have one of them back with us today. I'm great to have him back in the booth with me. Justin Masterson, the big guy from Ohio, is in the booth. So just talk about, the legacy of your student athletes when they come back to the campus. Not just Justin, but Eric and so many guys who have, whether it be for their financial givings or whatever, be their time, their volunteering. Let's just talk about how important it is to have those guys in part of your program.
It's a huge importance, Paul, especially when you have guys who have made it to the highest level in baseball, and but even guys who have not, and the willingness that they have to come back to their alma mater and give some time back, whether it's a speaking engagement or anything like that. But I think it's a testament to not just the fact that they played baseball here, but I think a testament to of how you were able to build a relationship with them and how you were able to allow that relationship to fester over the many years and stay in touch and do the things there. And I'm always appreciative of these guys when they come back to do these type of things. And we had Justin out in the fall, came back to speak to our team, and so it's a lot of fun. It's great to see him on campus. It's always great to give a hug and to say hi to him, and that's really what it's about. And when you get him back here to give a little bit of time, that speaks a lot.
Best of luck today, Skipper.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, I think we're about to train back on the track. Paul Condry along with Justin Masterson. Glad to have the big fella here in the broadcast booth. Let's take a look at our starting lineups. First of all, for the visiting Taylor Trojans, 6-8 overall in league play, 26-12. Starts up front with number 36, Nick Rushy, a freshman second base in the leadoff spot, and the number 2 hole to be number 3, Andrew Kennedy, the senior shortstop, in the number 3 spot, T.J. Bass, the freshman left fielder. Once again, Rushy, Kennedy, and Bass going 1, 2, 3. The heart of the order features number 11, Wyatt Whitman, the senior center fielder, number 15, Brett Lawson, the junior third baseman, and number 6, Andrew Kennedy, the junior designated hitter. Whitman, Lawson, and Kennedy, the heart of the Trojans order. 7, 8, 9 features number 14, Nathan Taggart, the senior first baseman, number 34, Ben Calbaugh, the freshman catcher, and number 9, Connor Crawford, in the number 9 spot, the freshman right fielder. Once again, Rushy, Kennedy, Bass, Whitman, Lawson, Kennedy, Taggart, Calbaugh, and Crawford. Now, if you take a look at the defensive side of things, as Taylor's at bat, it'll be Kawambi Moss, the junior in center field. He'll be flanked on the left side by Seth Kermode, the senior, and freshman Jake Shalaski. Once again, Kermode, Moss, and Shalaski, the outfield, left, center, and right. Infield third to first features Jake Wilburn, Luke Adams, C.M. Laffey, and James Spira. And it's going to be the battery of Sully Swingley, 1-1 on the season with an ERA of 8.00. It's his fourth start of his season, and he is going to be throwing it to the man behind the plate, number 16, Mason Love. Now, if you look at the Pilots lineup, it'll be Jake Wilburn leading it off, Brandon Diss and Kawambi Moss, Wilburn, Diss, and Moss, respectively. The middle of the order features Mason Love, Luke Adams, and James Spira, 4, 5, and 6. Shalaski, Laffey, and Kermode. And that we're going to go over to our playing of the Star Spangled Banner and our opening prayer.
Lord, thank you for the opportunity that we have to honor you through the game of baseball. We ask you to protect the players as they compete, keep them free from injury, and help them to display their talents in a way that honors you. Help us all to encourage and cheer with proper perspective in mind. Thank you for what you are doing and have done in our lives. In your name we pray. Amen. We ask that you remain standing as we honor America and those who serve and protect it with the playing of our national anthem. Fans, be sure to visit the official Bethel College Athletics website at bethelcollegepilots.com.
Once again, thanks for joining us here this afternoon from Bethel College. I'm Paul Condry. In case you've never been here to Patterson Field at Jenkins Stadium, 321 down the right field line, 327 down the left field line, straight away center. That imposing Blue Monster 385 power alleys right around 365. Beautiful afternoon for baseball. Green grass and the grounds are absolutely picturesque. Glad to be joined by former Bethel standout, former major leaguer Justin Masterson, of course, a part of the American League All-Star team when he was pitching with the Cleveland Indians. He was a second-round draft pick of the Boston Red Sox. Glad to have him back here on campus. He spoke earlier today for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And all right, can you reflect back on? I'm going to ask you to do a lot of that today as we're here. I mean, have you been back for a game where you've had a chance to stand for the national anthem? What was it like standing for the national anthem when you were in the big leagues as well as was it back here?
No, it was great actually. A part of what I was thinking about as I'm listening to the guy announce is just doing the announcing and
you were
playing
doing those games. Yeah.
the national anthem, then coming and hanging out, especially freshman year. It's a weird perspective that this is back to something. I mean, I talk a lot about what took place on the field, but I actually talk a lot more at times about what took place up here and how crazy it was that Coach Zartman allowed me to even do this. But
because he doesn't do that stuff anymore, you know that, don't you?
Right.
It's so that's the thing that Seth and I talked about. I don't know if it was because he was so young in his career and wasn't sure how things were going, but make no mistake about it, we're going to be picking Justin's brain throughout the course of the throughout the course of the afternoon. And once again, the Taylor Trojans will be to our immediate left, decked out in the gray slacks, gray jerseys. Of course, those patented purple numbers with Trojans written on the front in purple. Of course, the Pilots will be off to our right. Pilots wearing the old-fashioned Houston Astros uniforms today with the blue, dark blue, gray, black, and light blue along the midsection. Of course, the blue numbers and, of course, the patented Bethel Bills here today, all in blue and with white. First pitch comes your way, and that'll be strike one coming here at 3:02 in the afternoon. Thanks for joining us here for Bethel Baseball on the Regional Radio Sports Network. Sully Sullivan is on the bump today for the Pilots, the youngster who's certainly getting his feet wet. And ironically, I was talking with Justin, now the count at 1-1. I was talking to Justin earlier today as the leadoff man, Nick Rushy, the freshman second baseman, is looking at a 1-1 pitch. As many of the former Pilots will remember, that I handed out a bio sheet and asked them to pick out their favorite player. Now the count at 2-1 here to Nick Rushy. And ironically, Sully Swingley, the guy who's pitching for Bethel, his all-time favorite Bethel baseball player is my broadcast partner here today. Here's the ball fouled back and out of play. What does that say for what you've been up to? That here you are. I mean, we're talking 13 years since removed now, right?
Well, knowing there's actually been a lot of good players that come through Bethel, I enjoy that.
Here's a breaking ball, slow roller towards the second baseman. C.M. Laffey goes with the standard 4-3 put out, and first man is retired. That'll bring up Andrew Kennedy. Kennedy for the Trojans in league play. This will be his 13th game, 12th start, batting .206. Overall, a .211 hitter with 13 RBIs, 25 total bases, slugging percentage at .278. As we have one out here in the top of the first. 9-inning ball game here today. Here's a bunt attempt down the third baseline, foul. When you get into the comeback mode to visit so many of the players, you've been on both of these campuses to talk to the student athletes. You've had a good time just interacting with the boys.
Yeah, it's been great to get to understand the young guys who are coming up, who have the same excitement that I once had to be here, and not just play baseball, but have aspirations of going to the next level. And just to say it's not just playing the game.
Here's a ball hit into left field. That could be trouble. Kawambi Moss sees that one go over the left field fence, and that will be a home run for Andrew Kennedy. So Kennedy hits a deep ball, and it's now 1-0 in favor of the Trojans, as Kennedy will touch them all, and that will bring up a boatload of questions. That's his first homer of the year. Do you remember the first homer of your career here? Who was it against? Do you remember? Because I don't remember.
I don't remember.
That's
either.
a good thing, right? But can you imagine when whoever it was that hit it is probably at some point in time when you're walking out there to the third base, or was it the first base line in the All-Star game? Some guy is at home with his family saying, I hit a home run off that guy in college. And you know that was going on, don't
yes,
you?
Yes, they are. Oh, they'll talk about just getting a hit off of me. Like, somebody got a hit. I'm like, lots of people did it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad.
Here's a breaking ball. T.J. Bass. Ball that is for a strike one. Yeah, there's a lot of those stories that floating around. Eric Stoltz and I talk about it when he was here. That when you got to that point, here's a two-hopper to the shortstop. Adams picks it up, throws across the diamond, and the runner is safe. As that ball went up high, it was difficult. That's an infield base hit. Adams could do nothing with it. Once he took the high road on the high hop, plenty of room for the runner to go down the line for a base hit. And that'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Wyatt Whitman, the senior center fielder.
Yeah, as a pitcher, those are some of your worst ones. You make a nice pitch, get the ball hit into the ground, and it just hops a little bit too high.
Whitman has started all 40 games for the Trojans. A .244 hitter, 2 homers, 23 RBIs, and he takes strike 1. So I'm going to ask you to put a critical eye on the young left-hander for Bethel, Sully Swingley. And if you can break down his pitching look here over the course of the next inning or so. Here's the 0-1 pitch. This one in the dirt. Now the count of 1-1.
Yeah, right now, mixing in a lot of off-speed stuff, and that's, I think the homer was off-speed pitch, a little elevated in the zone, which understandable on a beautiful day. You're outside, a little bit excited early in the ball game, going to be a little high in the zone.
Swingley delivers. Breaking ball hit towards the third baseman. They'll try to turn to 6, and that will be, oh my, the Pilots got a fortunate break there on the 5-4 3-double play. And Kyle Gould, will he make the walk to the home plate umpire, or they're not going to make a move? In the inning, no run. There was 1 run, excuse me. There was 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. 1-0 at the end of a half of an inning of play. Justin, taking a look at the Pilots roster, when you look at these guys up and down the line, Seth's going into a group here today where the everyday lineup all listed as underclassmen here today, except for Seth Kermode, who's a day in and out player. And now that you're doing some coaching at the high school level, when you're getting those younger kids in there who certainly by the time they're juniors, if they don't know what they're doing by now, we got problems.
There is problems with that, but you realize that when guys aren't getting enough time over the years in the game to get out there to play, even if they're doing summer ball, there's just something lost within them to understand exactly how the game is going down. And we found it down in Fishers a little bit, where you had a good group of seniors last year. You lose a few of them. You got some juniors who are there and some sophomores and a few freshmen, and just aspects of the game that we know really well, and we kind of assume that they would have that understanding by being around it as long as they had. But they're still not as understanding as they should be. And it's a little difficult as a coach, so I can feel for Coach Zartman, as mistakes are kind of made, not always purposely, but you kind of have to scoot back a little bit to some square one stuff and say, all right, we're going to get our hands dirty and we're going to act like we don't really know what we're doing so that we can get back to the fundamentals. And honestly, sometimes that same philosophy has to take place at even the professional levels.
Let's take a look at the Taylor defense. It'll be Brett Lawson, Josh Lane, Nick Roosh, and Nathan Taggart. That'll be your infield third to first. It'll be Bass, Whitman, and Crawford, your outfield. And the battery of Clay Riggins and Ben Cowbaugh. Interesting story. Clay Riggins, 5-2 record with an ERA of 2.12, and this is his first start. To have 7 decisions as a reliever, high on the probability chart there. 1-0 in first pitch here. Now here to Jake Wilburn. There'll be Wilburn, Diss, and Moss. 1, 2, 3. Here's a 1 hopper towards the second baseman. Turns and throws him out on the second pitch. 4-3. By the way, 12 pitches for Sully Swingley in the first inning. And that'll bring up Brandon Diss. Brandon Diss for the Pilots, playing his 16th conference game, a .264 hitter in league play. Diss overall a .274 hitter. He'll be batting here from the left side. Breaking ball for a strike. A dandy there for Clay Riggins.
Yes, he's got some really good break on that curveball. The fastball is pretty good, but so far the lefties have a nice stroke.
Here's another nice breaking ball for a strike. Now the count at 0-2. One of the things I try to talk with our coaches about is the pitch selection that each pitcher has. And according to Kyle Gould, he tells me that it's fastball, curve, the slider. This is 3 pitches. Now the count at 1-2.
Yeah, and he's got a good fastball. It looks like it's pretty straight.
There's a breaking ball and spins towards the second baseman. Well, there was enough top spin on that, and that'll be an easy 4-3 play. Nice job by the second baseman, Nick Roosh, to be able to handle that spinner. That's 2 up and 2 down for BC.
Yeah, that was a little tricky. They hit the dirt and started going the other way.
It's like a cue ball, but you're playing billiards. This will bring up Kawambi Moss. This is a talented athlete out in center field. Kawambi playing in his 16th league game, 25th game overall, batting .407, and he fouls one back. He's a transfer coming into Bethel College.
Yeah, looks powerful guy. Really nice swing on that
Boy,
first pitch.
Boy, can he play center field.
Huh.
Here's a pitch on the outside corner, 1-1. The guy that I thought early on in my Bethel career that was one of the best all-time center fielders, some guy by the name of Brock Doty.
Oh,
You'll remember
yes.
Brock.
Very much so.
Yeah, he could run any kind of ball down. And Moss defensively is very much like that, according to Coach Zartman. Here's a slow roller towards the third baseman. He picks it up, throws him out at third base. So 5-3 on the putout. Pilots are retired in the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. We're going to keep it right here, and we're going to continue our conversation. By the way, the man behind the plate today is Luke Popakowski, and the field ump is Robert Salomon. So we're glad to have those guys here. Riggins with 10 pitches. And while we have Justin here today, I want to talk a little bit about some of the ministry things you have going on here in our in-between inning break. So wide variety of things. The Fortress Foundation certainly is something that God put on your heart. Let's just start and talk about that before we go into talking about the Fight Club throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, Fortress Foundation, 2013. My wife and I just wanted to figure out an avenue. Being in the major leagues, we were blessed with a little bit extra money, if you will, and we wanted to make sure that we did some good things with it. And you can't just – it's not the best thing to just give it to some organizations because they're not made to handle it. So we started the Fortress Foundation, a way to put it so that we could really come alongside organizations, not being a huge powerhouse by any means as a foundation, but to encourage them, to give them some money, and in the end, help be a refuge to those in need, just as God is our refuge. And so we'd go around, make some trips to Africa, where we're able to use the Cleveland Indians with them and the fanship there with Moody Radio, and raised a couple $100,000 to help feed, educate, and clothe some children in Nairobi, Kenya, and just been able to do a lot of really cool things.
Brett Lawson, Andrew Kennedy, and Nathan Taggart due up. That's 5, 6, and 7. Once again, the defense for Bethel: Wilburn, Adams, Laffey, and Spira. Your infield third to first. The outfield, it'll be Kermode, Moss, and Jake Shalaski. The battery of Sully Swingley and Mason Love. With 1-0 ball game here. Brett Lawson, the junior third baseman, leading it off for TU. Here is a base hit up the middle. He rocketed that one past Sully Swingley for the leadoff man aboard here in the second inning. So that's the third hit off the freshman Sully Swingley.
And one great thing that Sully's doing is he's throwing strikes. I mean, as much as you say right now, early in the ball game, there's a couple hits given up and there's a home run going on. But as the game goes on, his ability to throw strikes and then later to expand the zone in order to make guys swing at pitches that are no longer in the zone is a philosophy that works really good, but it only counts when you throw strikes. And so, yeah, there's a few hits, but hopefully now we can set up a double play.
Here's a breaking ball for a strike. There are only 1 or 2 lifetime guys who can paint the corners in baseball. Greg Maddox certainly may be the all-time best who can pinpoint a ball anywhere. But, the one thing that you were taught from the time you came here on campus with Coach Dick Seiler was to throw strike one and go out there and compete, and not to kind of dance around things. Just go out there and try to make plays.
Yeah, well, hitting is timing, and if hitting is timing, pitching is upsetting that timing. That is thrown around so many different times. And so when you can get that first strike, it changes the mind of the hitter where he doesn't feel as comfortable because here's a strike, and then you get strike 2, and then it changes what he may or may not swing at.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. This one missing the mark. Now the count at 1-2 to Andrew Kennedy. Kennedy, the designated hitter, who hails from nearby Northridge High School. Now the 1-2 look. Now one of the things that you may or not be aware of that they've Here's a pitch missing the mark. Now the count of 2-2. There's a timing mechanism now that the umpires are keeping an eye on. You have to throw the pitch in X amount of time. Now they're trying to speed up the game. So if you don't throw the pitch in 20 seconds, so the game gets, here's a pitch missing the mark. So now the count has been worked to 3-2. What would you feel like that if you were here again with the 20-second pitch count, if you notice how quickly they're working?
Right. They have that in the minor leagues, and honestly, it doesn't make a difference for a whole lot of people.
Okay. Here's a pitch, just missed the mark. That was close. Ball 4.
Really
so the
nice
first
pitch.
two guys on base for the Trojans, already leading 1-0 here in the top of the second inning. That'll bring up Nathan Taggart.
And I think with the timing of it, there are certain guys where they take longer, and unfortunately, it forces certain guys who are already quick to move quicker than they need to. But you find out that 20 seconds is a long time to come set, and does it really speed up the game? I don't know. But as a pitcher, you want to move fast anyways, so that your infielders can feel in.
Taggart, a 244 hitter with 8 RBIs, 14 total bases. The slugging percentage at 311, on base at 375, and that's going to be strike one. When you sat down with your big league coaches and you went through your potential lineup each and every day, did you talk about what their percentages were hitting the ball to left field or right field, or what are they going to do? Can you break that down for us, what it was like?
Yeah, you could talk about all the things. What I really enjoyed talking about was their percentage against certain pitches and when they kind of do that, so you can see the different counts, and when a slider is thrown in this, doesn't do very good at it, so you would know that early in the count, he doesn't swing it off speed, but late at the count, that's what he's looking for. So you can finish a guy with a fastball and start him off with off speed.
Here's a ground ball towards the second baseman. Makes a nice play to keep the ball in the infield. C.M. Laffey, runners will advance 90 feet. Kennedy's now at second. Lawson is at third. A fine play by C.M. Laffey, the senior second baseman.
That's a great play. That's one of the ones trying to teach younger kids where get in front of the ball, keep it in the infield, and he made a great pick in order to throw it to first base. A lot of times you get a little olé to try and be cute, and the ball goes to the outfield. Instead of keeping everyone just to one base and nobody scoring, it allows people to score. So a great play. Ben
Calbaugh, the freshman catcher, is now up, wearing jersey number 34. Product of Westminster Academy, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 6'3", 225 pounds. Looks like he should be middle linebacker for Ron Korfmeyer's football team down at TU. He takes strike one.
He's a big boy. What year did you say he was?
He is a freshman.
A freshman. Oh.
I remember you were pretty big at the time you were in here, too. 0-1 pitch now. Breaking ball. Took something off and tried to paint that outside corner and just missed the mark. Now they kind of 1-1. A home run in the first inning is the run on the board for the Trojans off of the bat of senior Andrew Kennedy. Now here runners at second and third. Another breaking pitch missing the mark. Now the count at 2-1. Now, Coach Sauer always used to talk to you about the importance of being successful on strike one. And I know that you talked about it throughout the course of your career. Can you think about the importance of strike one still to this day?
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing that pops into my head so often is strike one, get the first batter of the inning out, and on or out in three is kind of that phrase. 3 pitches, get the guy on or out in 3, keeps the game moving, and in the end it works in your favor.
Here's the 2-2 pitch with one down. Runners at second and third for TU here in the second inning. Swingley gets him to pop up. First baseman, second baseman, shortstop, all converge. Conference meeting near the mound. Finally grabbed by Luke Adams, the shortstop, and that's a big out here.
Yes, that's a great job by Sully, getting down 3-1 to come back, make some good pitches. You know, Cal helped him out by swinging a high pitch, but that's the idea of pitching. Get it in there, make the guy swing at something that looks pretty, and he pops it up into the infield, giving 2 outs, and hopefully can shut the door right here.
Connor Crawford's due up now for the Trojan, wearing jersey number 9, who hails from Worthington Christian in Westerville, Ohio. Now, geographically, have you spent much time going back home to Beaver Creek, Ohio?
Not a whole lot. My parents actually just moved up to Troy, Piqua, Covington area, which is just about 30 minutes north.
Yeah, Tanya used to live in Piqua.
Ah, perfect. And so spent some time getting over there now, and not a whole lot over in Beaver Creek.
1-1 scenario with 2 down. In case you're just joining us, former Bethel standout Justin Masterson, a privilege to have him here on the headset this afternoon. Here's a breaking ball hit. That could be trouble, but guess who's there?
Just like you talked about.
Kawambi Moss gets on that horse and goes for a ride, and what an outstanding job by Sully Swingley to close the door after giving up the first 2 guys on base.
Back to the idea of throwing strikes is not such a bad thing. You give up a couple hits, but in the end, because he's throwing strikes, guys are swinging more, and he made them swing at some bad pitches, which was beneficial.
Once again, glad you can join us. The line score reads right here after an inning and a half. 1 run on 3 hits and no errors. Pilots bagels across the board. As for Swingley, now up to 31 pitches through his first 2 innings. Let's talk pitch count. When you think back on pitch count, when you were in the position moving up through the minors, I know they monitor every single thing that you do,
yes.
Probably from the food intake to where you're going out after the game, this kind of stuff. But as you're making your way up from San Diego State, you went out and played in the Wooden Bat League, and remember that was an important opportunity for you when you left Bethel that one summer. And we've been fortunate to be friends for all these years, so we followed you along the way. You were up in Portland, playing minor league ball. All along the way, was pitch count the single most important thing that they stressed to you, or was there anything else that was more important than this from a coach management perspective?
They would hit on pitch count a lot, but I had the philosophy that though they would push that so much, you can look at a guy, and there's certain times where a guy's at 70 pitches and he looks like he needs to come out, and there's a guy who's at 117 pitches and he looks like he could probably go another 30 more.
Love, Adams, and Spira, which will be 4, 5, 6 in the lineup for Bethel. Mason Love, the junior catcher. Luke Adams, the sophomore shortstop, and James Spira, the junior first baseman. Once again, it's Clay Riggins making his first start of the year. Now to count at 1-1 to Love. Love on the season in league play. This is his 14th league game, batting .229. And now he's ahead in the count at 2-1. 9 RBIs, has 1 dinger in league play, 375, 288. When you're looking at the 3 batting positions, going into it from a big league standpoint, did they talk about RBIs? Did they talk about slugging percentage? Did they talk about on-base percentage? Did they talk about batting average? Or did they not talk about any of those in preparation for your games?
In preparation, they talk, batting average. But with all the numbers that we have, it was even more situational than that. It would be with runners in scoring position, with a man on base, with nobody on base. So it's broken down so much to be able to see all those different things, to have that difference of knowing how to pitch a guy.
Here's the ball hit into center field. Center fielder's got a beat on that and makes the catch. Wyatt Whitman, the senior center fielder, retires the leadoff man, Mason Love. Did it become information overload?
For some guys. Some guys, it's way too much for them to want to know or understand, or then they try and pitch to that, and they get out of the way that they pitch. Because there's certain things you can tell me, like, hey, don't throw a ball inside. This guy hits it really well. Well, that's what I do, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get this guy inside.
Here's the ball fouled back here as Luke Adams fouls one off the catcher Ben Calbaw's face mask. Counted 0-1.
Which is something I like to preach to young guys is you can take all you want, and just because someone else is really good at this, you can do better. Like, it doesn't mean you have to shy away, and you challenge it. You see what happens in the game, and then you make your adjustments as you go. That's pitching.
Here's a pitch outside. I remember the days when you were, especially your sophomore years, when we started to have the scouts line up down here below me with the radar guns. And let's face it, everybody knew who they were here to see, and you knew what they were doing. What was it intimidating initially, and then did you kind of get used to it after a while?
Yeah, I think it's exciting, not intimidating, because you're just doing what you do, but was fun.
This ball foul back to the screen now. They're kind of 2-2,
and a nice excitement, like buzz for everybody. And in one sense, though, yes, maybe we all knew who they were there for. Who knew who else they might see in the same respect, which I thought was really cool. And one thing that Coach Sartman brought up when I ended up transferring was, hey, this experience of the guys, and it was difficult to kind of leave that.
2-2 situation with 1 down. Here's the pitch. Grounded towards the shortstop, picks it up, and he makes the fundamental 6-3 put out. That's what Kyle Gould's squad has done throughout the course of the year for the most part. And if you look at the Taylor numbers, fielding percentage at .954, the pitching ERA as a group at 3.02, and a batting average at .263. Now, if you compare those numbers for the Pilots are right there with the Trojans in the batting average. Pilots at .267, but the big difference is Bethel's pitching is in the league is 4.77, 5.1 overall, but the fielding percentage, and people may not think this is a big deal or not, but .934 versus .954, that is the difference of about 5 or 6 wins when it's all said and done. In the fielding percentage.
Absolutely. The more and more you look at a guy, you want your pitcher, again, to throw strikes, get balls put in play, let your defense do the work. And it's not necessarily lack of effort, but when guys aren't necessarily making your plays, you got to throw more pitches.
Here comes the one hopper to the shortstop, and he makes a great play. Just once again, that fundamental play that Justin's just talking about. And that'll be 3 up and 3 down for the Pilots. At the end of 2 innings of play, Taylor 1, Pilots nothing. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. Clay Riggins, in his first start of the season, is off to a good start. He has seen 6, and he has retired 6 here, and he's got 25 pitches through the first 2 innings, thanks to Landon Coppin. All right, let's go back and talk about the continuing the ministry aspect. Now you're involved in this thing called the Flight Club. Tell me about some of that.
Yeah, well, we didn't start it. It was actually started up in Goshen, Indiana, at community church up there, and they kind of send it out where you can take like a franchise, and it's built to be underneath a church ministry, church program, 10-week men's accountability group, created by men, for men, to reach men, and just to rejuvenate men in this culture where masculinity and manhood are kind of taken away, to bring it back and say, no, godly manhood is something to strive for, to want to be a good father, to be a good husband, to be a good leader, and to follow Christ with strength. And so we've taken that. My buddy Matt Zappizzotti, who I played with here at Bethel College, he and a friend of his, Bob Loy, just took that, and it's now working underneath the Fortress Foundation. But we're currently in round 9 of having over 600 guys going through the program, representing over 100 churches.
Top of the order, Nick Rushy, Andrew Kennedy, and T.J. Bass for the Trojans. As Rushy, who grounded out 4-3 the first time we saw him, the freshman second baseman from New Palestine High School. Grew up in Greenfield, Indiana, 5'10", 160-pounder. Looking at the 1-1 pitch. Sully Swingley tries to break one off there to no avail. Now the count at 2-1.
Had a good fastball down and away for a strike. Then coming back with the curveball, just missed it, but here it comes again.
And that one caught the outside corner. Now the count at 2-2. You had an opportunity to play for one of the greatest players in the history of baseball, and the legendary Tony Gwynn. So what was that experience like?
It was a really good experience. It was nice to see he who, as a coach, was at sometimes maybe a little soft on players where he should have made them run and maybe didn't, but a true professional.
There's a swing and a miss as Rushy strikes out. The first strikeout for Sully Swingley, and that's the first out of the inning.
Man, he did a great job there of getting hard fastball away, a couple soft pitches where he missed just a little bit, and then just kind of tricked him with a fastball in.
Now, knowing Justin Masterson the way I do, if he would have given up a home run to Andrew Kennedy the second time at bat, I think he's going to see some chin music, or he's going to see one in the ribs, in the ribs. And Sully Swingley decides he's going to start with a breaking ball on the outside, which missed the corner. You've been known to push him inside a little bit, haven't you?
You just got to reassert yourself.
There's a breaking ball grounded to the third baseman, picks it up on one hop. Oh, nearly airmails one over the first baseman's head, but a nice play as Wilburn and James Spira convert and making that a 5-3 put out.
Yeah, the biggest thing is when a guy's taking some big swings to make them uncomfortable, which doesn't mean you always have to hit them, but a good thing to move their feet a little bit. We talk about that a lot, trying to move a guy's feet so then we can get them uncomfortable in that box.
T.J. Bass, who had a base hit the last time at bat in the first inning. He was left stranded on the base paths in the first. Here's a ground ball right to the shortstop. Adams picks it up in a 1-2-3 inning for Sully Swingley. The first time he's been able to get through the order. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. Once again, in case you're just hopping along here at Patterson Field at Jenkins Stadium, our special guest is former Bethel standout and, of course, former American League All-Star Justin Masterson. And what I would probably like to go on the record of saying my friend. Glad to have him here with us in the broadcast booth. We've been able to share a lot of funny stories over the years. We got a chance to be at a wide variety of ballparks, and one of the neat ones was we were together at Fenway doing our radio show. That was one I know we talked about it before the broadcast. Was Tanya and I there was one particular year you were in Portland, and you had just gotten the call. Correct me if I'm wrong on the numbers here. With the first time was to come down to Boston. I think we missed you by 2 or 3 days. I think something to that effect.
Yes.
And then you got sent back to Portland. You got called up to Fenway, and then you got sent back down again. Is that the right?
That's right.
I got that in the right order?
Yep.
What was that like?
Well, it was the challenging part is I got called up. You guys were around, made my debut, which is just, a whole incredible moment in itself. Pitched well, and then sent back down, and probably had 4 of the worst starts I've ever had in my entire life. Which some of that's probably you get so super jacked up, and then back to AA, not even AAA, back to AA, and just trying to not overthink everything you just did.
Jake Shalasky, CM Laffey, and Seth Kermode, 7, 8, 9. Here's a slow roller. Shortstop picks it up. And just like that, a hustling Shalasky is retired. 6-3. That shortstop has been busy today. That infield has been busy today. I think there's only been one put out via the fly ball thus far.
Yes, a lot of ground balls, and right now these guys are making it look relatively easy.
Now it's CM Laffey's opportunity. Laffey on the season, playing in his 14th Crossroads League game with a batting average of 171. Has really struggled at the plate, but he's been a fixture at second base defensively, and he takes ball 1. This is one of the areas that Seth is really needs some guys to step up, especially in that bottom of the order, to come up with some big hits. 1-0 our score here, in case you're just hopping along. Here's a breaking ball, just caught the inside portion of the black. Now they're kind of 1-1. Nice pitch there by Riggins.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things. Get those bats going, be able to have good approach, and swing at good pitches.
Here's a pitch, once again, same spot, 1-2.
And
you were fortunate when you were here to have and once again, this is Paul's opinion. Hey, you had the best lineup in the history of the program. Behind you, your freshman year, as CM Laffey strikes out, and then subsequently that lineup in the following year was still pretty good, but that freshman year lineup was off the charts good.
You had Marcel Guevara, who's just a big Venezuelan, dropping home runs. Joe Hannon, big meat hooks. Tom Gifford, Brock Doty, as we talked about earlier, who could lay some things down. Javier Jimenez, who would be able to put the balls in play. Just a really incredible lineup. Lots of homers.
Yeah, here's a timeout here with the count 1-0. You talk about Marcel. Marcel in 2004, 20 homers and overall 50 home runs as a college athlete.
Yeah.
That's off the charts when you think about it.
Yes.
With all the games, there's so many cancellations, so many things going on, so many wide variety of things. I remember there were times where nobody would even pitch to him.
Yes, and that makes a difference too when no one will pitch to you.
Here's a slow roller back to the pitcher, and he makes the easy 1-3 put out. So far it's been a perfect day for Clay Riggins in the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on base. Riggins is perfect through the first 3, and it's a 1-0 as Riggins, 34 pitches, and he has been in command really just about all of them. And at the end of 3, our score is 1-0. 1 run on 3 hits and no errors for Taylor. No runs on no hits and no errors for the Pilots. so far here through 3, because we continue on our conversation with Justin Masters. We're turning the ball game into our own coach's box program here today. That was the game plan. So now you find yourself moving fast forward with a set of twins. I got to talk about that. As you well know, I was fortunate many, many years ago to have a pair of those guys. And twins are at the young age, let's put it to you this way, it's adventurous.
That's a really good word for it. It is very adventurous, and if any of you out there have twins, you would know exactly what that means, or some of those from the outside looking in would say it looks very hazardous.
Exactly.
But it's been great, and we have one's a boy, one's a girl, and it's just really neat to see their personalities flow as they are now, how they interact, how they care for each other, and then their older sister, how they all get together and try and deal with all that drama.
Drama. Is Meryl still making cookies?
She still makes them. She hasn't been selling them like she once did, but for special requests and for some fun of it, she likes to still get in there.
Yeah, I tell you what, I remember when it was Meryl's Cookies. When you guys were in the big leagues, that was something that was a must thing to get done. All right, for Taylor here in the 4th inning, it's going to be Wyatt Whitman, followed by Brett Lawson and Andrew Kennedy. Once again, we're glad you can join us here for our broadcast. And now the count of 2-0. The pitchers have been the story thus far here today. Riggins and Swingley. Here's a pitch. And that one just missed the mark. Now the count of 3-0.
A really nice pitch right here. That was a good pitch. Yeah, here comes a fastball, 3-0. Just a great time to try and challenge yourself to come back.
And he missed the mark on that one. That'll be a base on balls.
Or he's just setting up the double play. You know, there's times out there where why waste another pitch when you can just set up the double play and get this next guy to roll it over.
And now it'll be up Brett Lawson, the junior, third baseman. Lawson wearing jersey number 15, who hails from Margate, Florida, went to Calvary Christian, 5'11", 185-pound junior.
Nice pitch right there. Right down the middle for strike one.
And once again, 1 run on 3 hits and no errors. 0-0-0 for the Pilots. Here's a quick toss over to first base. One thing the Pilots have done, really struggled at throughout the course of the year, is the amount of stolen bases. The Pilots have given up 48 stolen bases on 59 attempts.
Whoa.
And that's the number. And the Pilots, conversely, on their end of things, they've only stolen 19 bases in 22 attempts.
Well, the tough thing about those numbers is you just want to blame catchers for their inability to throw a guy out at second base, or the middle infield for their lack of ability to catch the ball. And I've been there, but as a pitcher, you realize that, and the quicker you get the ball in, but it's not just the quickness, but your ability to mix up your looks, to keep those guys closer. Again, running is the same type of thing. It's timing, to try and upset that timing that guy at first base has so he can't get a good jump.
Here's the pitch by Swingley. Breaking ball, tattooed towards the right fielder, and he takes a bad angle, and it goes over his head. Kyle Gould's got the windmill working over here in the third base. So will we have a play at the plate? We will, and he will be safe at home. And a runner moves on to second base. So scoring is Wyatt Whitman, and it's now a 2-0 ball game and a key RBI opportunity for Lawson.
1-2 pitch right there, fastball, a little bit elevated, good piece of hitting, drives it to the right side, had a nice line drive, which is always a difficult one for the outfielder to try and get a good read on when it has a good line drive. And right fielder did have a little tough route at it, but threw it in good.
Andrew Kennedy, the junior designated hitter. And he takes ball 1. Kennedy walked the first time at bat. A home run by Josh Lane in the first inning was the difference, but not the case now with a pair of RBIs. Here's a ball popped up. Right fielder. He's got a beat under it and makes the catch. They will not try to advance the runner. So Kennedy is retired. He's now officially 0 for 1.
That's what you want to see as a pitcher. get me a nice little pop-up. The guy at second can't go anywhere. Fly ball to the outfield. Now get me one out. Now let's go. I can get a ground ball. Even if the runner advances on a ground ball, we're still good because I'll have 2 outs.
That'll bring up Nathan Taggart, the senior first baseman, 0 for 1 on the afternoon. Taggart on the year, a 244 hitter. Here is a ground ball to Adams, and he throws him out. Runner advances. Fortunately for Adams, who got his feet tangled up, tripped over 2 blades of grass out there.
Big amount of dirt out there, and he was going. The runner was going in front of him, so he had a lot of action going on there.
Yes,
but
indeed.
Still, the ability to gather himself, make the good throw, get the out. 2 outs, man at third. Here we go.
Here's Ben Calbaugh. Breaking ball. Missing the mark. Did you have a rule of thumb on what pitch you were going to throw in advance to every single hitter?
Not necessarily. There's things that you see or tendencies that take place.
Ball foul back here. That's headed toward Paul and Tanya's RAV4 that we purchased from our friends at the Gates Automotive Group.
And so you can't just get stuck in one way you want to do things, but you can adjust where this is how this guy reacted. And then, you know what, I think I'm going to start him off with this maybe the next time he gets up.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Missed the mark. Looked like he took a little bit off that guy there. Now they count it 2-1.
But it's just a nice song and dance. That's what's so fun about baseball and pitching. There's this song and dance going that not everybody appreciates and understands.
3-1. Do you think the general fan today understands they understand the dynamic of hitting and fielding more than they do pitching?
Yeah. You can see it easier. Guy swings, hits it or doesn't hit
Yeah.
it. Ball goes, you catch it and throw it or you don't.
Here's a breaking ball, a dandy there. The big fella, number 34, was waiting for it. And now the count at full at 3-2. So what are you going to go here? 3-2, you got a runner 90 feet away and 2 outs.
Curveball. Threw it 3-2, throw it.
And
Changeup.
he throws the changeup for strike 3.
Nice pitch.
Nice pitch indeed. In the inning, there was 1 run on 1 hit. That walk comes back to cost Sully Swingley, but make no mistake about it. At the end of 3.5, our score 2-0. 2 runs on 4 hits and no errors. 57 pitches now for Sully Swingley through the first 4. Keep in mind, Swingley only a freshman and playing. This is only his 5th start of his varsity career. So thus far, what are you thinking about the young fella out there?
No, I like it. I think it'll be great. You know, as a lefty in this league, he's going to get a little bit stronger. And I think not that it's all about velocity, but the velocity will increase, which will help out all his other pitches. But he has a really good feel of his curveball, and when he's throwing it well, some nice tight rotation, and then that changeup right there, which I was just talking to a few guys. They love that curveball changeup combination where a guy thinks the fastball is going to be coming, but instead the changeup gets him, and it just shows right there that his changeup looks like his fastball. He throws it with the same arm speed, and so just a lot of good things coming out of his camp, and to be battling in that inning where he had base hit early, no outs, 1 run scores, but minimizing the damage. And that's one of the biggest things as a pitcher, is to minimize the damage, where he could have got flustered and it could have been 2 runs. Instead, it's just 1. Team still in the game, and you can battle.
Yeah, 3 of the first 4 innings, he's had the first 2 of the 3 guys on base. So to be only down 2-0 at this stage shows that he's really been competing out there. Now due up the top of the order, we'll go with Wilburn, Diss, and Moss, respectively. Jake Wilburn, the junior third baseman, who grounded out 4-3 the last time these 2 teams met. And now he'll step outside.
I like his swing. I know ground ball is first at bat, but just has a really nice presence in the box and a good swing.
Wilburn, who transferred over from Indiana University South Bend. Now they counted 2-0 to Jake. Jake on the year in league play in 16 games, batting .311. Here's one on the outside corner for the strike. Now they counted 2-1.
And that's where you want your leadoff hitter to be, having a good on-base percentage.
There's a ground ball. Came inside and found it down around his ankle. Now they counted 2-2. Once again, in case you're just hopping along, it's T.J. Bass, Wyatt Whitman, and Connor Crawford, the outfield. Here's a swing and a miss as Wilburn goes down on strikes. Infield first to third, Taggart, Rushy, Lane, and Lawson, and it's the battery of Clay Riggins and Ben Cowball.
Just got to say, that was a nasty curveball.
Yes, it was.
It started high and dropped down into the dirt.
Brandon Diss hits one on the first pitch, two-hopper to the second baseman, and he's retired. Just like that, quick work for Clay Riggins. Worked a little harder against the first man. Now Diss is retired. He's now 0 for 2. Now it's Kawambi Moss, the center fielder.
And if you're the Taylor fan, this is exactly what you want out of a pitcher after you score a run, to come in and try and shut some things down quickly.
Here's Moss. Ground ball to the shortstop. Moss on his horse, and he is retired 6-3. A perfect start for Clay Riggins. He's pitched 4 innings, and he has shut the Pilots down in every capacity. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. And at the end of 4 complete innings of play, we're moving right along. 2 runs on 4 hits and no errors for the visitors from Upland, Indiana. 0, 0, and 0 as Riggins now with 41 pitches is all in his first 4 innings play. Glad you can be joined here by Justin Masterson, former Bethel standout. And when you look at so Tanya wants to make sure you get that update in there. Indians 8, Tigers 2. Is that a final?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. So all the teams you had a chance to play with, wide variety. Red Sox have to have a special spot in your heart. They drafted you. They're the first team that says, I believe in you.
Yes.
The Indians, you're playing for your home team that you grew up. I know you also rooted for the Reds growing up, if I recall.
Yeah.
Was there a team, organization that was above and beyond? And is there one that still holds a very, very special heart? When they play, who do you root for? Let's put you on the spot.
I'd say right now, I'm a person of relationships. So when the Cleveland Indians are playing, especially looking at my boy Corey Kluber get on the mound today, and just being there when he first came up and seeing his growth, and not that I had anything to do with it, but just incredible to watch. And for me, when I was in Boston, that was some of my growth time. And so they each have a special place in my heart. But if some were playing others, I know more people on the Cleveland Indians still.
Okay. Now, once again, we're going to go from 9, 1, and 2. Connor Crawford, Nick Rushy, and Josh Lane. Josh Lane, who hit the home run in the first inning. Here's a pitch at 1-0. Your favorite manager of all time?
I mean, Terry Francona, I had him twice and really loved being around him. But one that was really enjoyable was Bruce Crabb.
Here's the ball hit into left field, and the left fielder misplays that. And that'll be an error on the left fielder.
Man, he slid in a line drive kind of right at him, one of those tough balls to gauge, gave a little slide, and just couldn't squeeze the ball in his glove.
Now that'll bring up the top of the order. Nick Rushy, a freshman second baseman, youngster from New Palestine High School. As we'll see how long it'll take Kyle Gould to send the runner. Crawford on the season, just kind of giving you a sneak preview if Kyle Gould is going to go that way. Crawford on the year from the pitcher steps off. Crawford 1 for 1 in the stolen base department. Here's the 1-0 look now. The left-hander delivers. Ball golfed off to the left and out of play. Now to kind of 1-1 here to Nick Rushy. I know one of your former teammates had a difficult time keeping runners on base. He never wanted to throw there.
No.
Talking about John Lester, who
still doesn't.
It's an adventurous time for. Here's a guy who's had. You can make an argument that he's a potential Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying?
It could be made, yeah.
And you could also. Here's a ground ball, or here's a ball hit deep to right field. That ball is well hit. Back in the gap, ball caught on the warning track by Shalaski. He gave it a ride, but not enough biscuits for breakfast for him. And that's going to be the first out of the inning. But is it a mental thing, the throw to first in the middle of the game, the competitiveness, trying to keep the guys close?
Yes.
Where are you at with this?
Yes, it's definitely mental. Doesn't mean it's easy to overcome. I mean, look at Rick Ankiel and a few others who got the yips when they were throwing it home, or some from second to first.
Here's a pitch, a little high. Now here to Josh Lane, who hit a homer in the first inning.
But for John Lester, I don't remember him having that same issue back in the day. It wasn't until he got with the Cubs that just something got him.
Now they're kind of 1-1. You still keep in contact with those guys?
Every so often. Many times our wives stay in touch.
Sure.
More than
I gathered that when especially when I noticed when you guys were in the social media world, which you do not participate in now, which is probably a good thing as a former athlete that you're not. But I noticed that when Merrill was, when you were playing a lot, you could see the wives were all very often communicating back and forth. And I thought probably a good support group type thing. Yeah.
When you talk about the idea that no one can truly understand what's taking place, same thing for the wives.
Sure.
It's almost tougher for them where, my wife's been a single mom more or less for a long time, and another great reason to be able to be home.
Here's a pitch now, and getting away from the catcher, and that's going to be a wild pitch that will allow Connor Crawford to move up 90 feet.
It's another great pitch selection there. Another changeup, just a little short. I mean, Lane decided not to swing at it, and unfortunately got away from the catcher, but he's making some good pitches out there.
Swingley delivers the southpaw breaking ball, hit high. Second baseman, shortstop converge, and Adams, the shortstop, comes over as C.M. Laffey just staring a hole in his teammate, sophomore Luke Adams, saying, "What the heck? I thought I called it." Nonetheless, it's an out.
Yeah, it looked like that one was about to get ugly, but nice by the shortstop to at least take ownership of it and say, "I'm going to catch this no matter what."
And that was 2 down now. Runner at second base. That'll bring up T.J. Bass. Bass had a base hit in the first, grounded out to the shortstop. Here's one hit into left field. Kyle Gould's going to send the runner. Kermode picks it up in left field. Will there be a play at the plate? There will be, and he'll be safe. An RBI base hit for T.J. Bass, and it's now a 3-0 ball game. That'll be an unearned run. And an RBI for number 35. And it's now a 3-0 ball game. 3 runs on 5 hits now. And now big number 35, T.J. Bass, the freshman. Boy, he's 6'2", 230. He could be on Ron Korfmacher's defensive line at TU.
That's a big boy. But we're seeing here, too, free passes are never a good thing, whether that's through a walk or through an error.
Yep.
or anything like that. Something that I struggled with many times too, but the free passes, for some reason, they always seem to come to bite you.
Here's a nice breaking ball by Swingley on the first pitch here for a strike. Whitman, the last time, walked, scored a run. In the first inning, he was erased on that 5-4-3 inning double play. Ball popped up off to the right. Right fielder lost his bill out there, and Jake Shalaski comes in to make the catch to retire the side. In the inning for Taylor University, they were able to pick up a run. It was unearned. There was 1 hit, and there was 1 man left on base. Sully Swingley hasn't been bad. 3 runs on 5 hits. Just some timely hitting for Taylor University. And talking with Seth Zartman earlier in the day, he said his biggest issue with his team has been the lack of timely hitting in 2-out RBI opportunities. And what Taylor has done today, they've done the opposite of what the Pilots have struggled with, and that's been able to come up with that key 2-out hit or get a guy in scoring position. And certainly that's something they've got to do as the season goes on.
And that is the separator in the game of baseball. Whether you want to call it clutch hitting, good hitting, or whatnot, when you get a couple guys in scoring position, whether it's 0, 1, or 2 outs, finding a way to get those guys in those tough situations. And I will give a testament to Sully, where even though a base hit was there, so it's good hitting by Taylor, he still, again, showed poise, and came back and didn't allow it to just derail. Made a good pitch, got a fly out to the right field, and able to get out of that inning.
Mason Love, Luke Adams, and James Spera due up, 4, 5, and 6. As Clay Riggins, the sportscaster's curse is plain and simple. He hasn't given up a hit all day. And now to bat will be Mason Love. As a matter of fact, let's go one step further. He hasn't given up a base runner all day. He's been absolutely picture perfect so far. Here's we're in the home half of the fifth inning as Mason Love's due up, followed by Luke Adams and James Spera.
Should we open up the window a little more and yell that out there to make sure they can be heard?
Rumor has it that they can hear my voice in the bullpen. Here's one foul back to the screen.
It is a voice that I've always loved.
Well, thank you. My mom's in heaven, and she would agree with that. Absolutely. Well, we've enjoyed the dialogue over the years. Here's the 1-1 scenario. Breaking ball. A nice pitch there by Clay Riggins. He broke that one off right at the last minute. 1-2 now. Yeah. Love flew out to the center field the last time up.
Yeah, he's got some really good depth on that curveball.
It's his first varsity start this year. And that's going to be strike 3. Caught him looking. Backwards K in that scorebook. First out of the inning, that'll bring up Luke Adams. That's a dandy pitch there.
It was. That one might have been a little generous, but it would show that when you're pounding the zone and showing that you can throw strikes, you get a few extra calls.
Here's a bunt attempt, and it's foul. Luke Adams trying to create some type of offense against Clay Riggins. Riggins, who came into today's action, 34 innings pitched, 25 hits, 10 runs, 8 earned runs, 17 walks. How do you like this, Justin? Shutout to walk, or check that, your strikeout to walk ratio, 42-17.
Very nice.
Only giving up 6 doubles, giving up 1 homer, and teams were batting .216 against him.
I'd say by doing that, he's earned himself an opportunity to try and be a starter.
You know, you flirted around with that, been the starter, then go down to be a reliever, and that's sometimes not an easy transition. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's really difficult kind of jumping on both. Sometimes you can be more enjoyable when you start a game because you can, like going from relief to start, because you can take your time, but sometimes you lose your umph, your pizzazz, your power, your passion, because you feel like you have to slow down a little bit.
There's a pitch fouled off to play and out to the right.
But when you go back and forth, you have to figure out. It actually ended up helping me, not that it's about me, but to go from relief to start, because I could think, hey, I just need to close out every inning. So I could come in and just let it eat and pitch.
Ground ball, third baseman picks it up. It could be it is an out. Nice play by the third baseman, Brett Lawson, to take the perfect angle on the ground ball to third base. That's 2 up and 2 down.
But there are few and far between who have done both relief and start and had success with it, really at many levels. And so to have an opportunity, and I know even at this level you can start relief and then show that you can have that ability to then go more innings and make adjustments, and that's what we're seeing today.
James Spera, the junior first baseman, 0 for 1. Spera on the season, in playing in only his 8th game in Crossroads League play with a batting average of 167. Spera overall 122. Really has struggled at the plate. Only 5 hits in 41 at-bats. He's batting from the left side. He swings and misses on that pitch. Now they're kind of 1-1. The Pilots, the lackluster ability and timeliness in coming up with the key hit has really been the tail of the tape. And if you look at Taylor and you look at Bethel, it is exactly what Kyle Gould mentioned in the pregame show. Not only did he do it once, but he said it twice because we played the interview twice. That the timeliness in hitting has been really, really good for their squad.
And that's the difference between good teams and teams that are struggling to try and get back out.
Another nice breaking ball from Riggins. That one caught the block. Now they're kind of 1-2. But 2 down. The Pilots have been shut down big time by Clay Riggins. Now they're kind of 2-2.
And this is a really nice at-bat where it was swinging early, but but was able to take a step back, take some pitches, make him throw. I mean, you got to make the pitcher work a little bit.
Here's the 2-2 look with 2 down, swing and a miss. He strikes him out swinging. Another perfect inning for Clay Riggins. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base through the first 5. Spectacular effort again by the Taylor Hurley. Joining us here, Justin Masterson, former Bethel standout, and of course, former major leaguer. How about 56 pitches for Riggins thus far in the first 5 innings? Outstanding effort by him. He has been the story here this afternoon from BC.
Yes, he has been very efficient, and the numbers on the board attest to that.
Okay. So the next question that I want to touch base with you on. Now you're volunteer coaching at Fishers High School. I have two good friends of mine who coach down there. Rick Wimmer, the head football coach, is a longtime friends, and of course Matt Moore, of former Grace basketball standout, is now the boys basketball coach down there. So I kind of got an idea of the dynamics that are in one of the largest school systems in the state at Fishers. Is it easier to coach the game for someone who was gifted, and I mean that, God gave you a very
right.
special gift, and I think you would be the first person to admit that, and not saying that you did not work hard, because you did work hard.
Of course.
But is it more difficult to coach it than to play it?
I'd say in the overall sense for many of people who have been very gifted, it can be very difficult for them to teach it. But I haven't found that yet. It's been really nice to be able to be around the kids. I'm able to notice a lot of things, and they're smart and bright, and just to have real conversations. But you did have to work really hard to mold some of that talent, which also gives you a better appreciation and understanding of how to go through this, and that you weren't always good.
Breaking ball, foul back. Now the count remains at 1-2. It's Lawson, Kennedy, and Taggart here, the 5, 6, and 7 hitters for Taylor University. Taylor with a solo run in the first, 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 5th. That's where we're at. 3-0 TU. Here's a pitch, and that beamed him. Caught him on the inside portion right where the shin guard was at. So that'll be a base on balls.
I did spend some time with your guy Matt Moore for the last month and a half of the season. I was volunteer coaching for his team at Fishers also.
Big fan of the Moore family. They've done a tremendous amount of ambassador work wherever Matt's been, whether he was at Mount Vernon, whether he was at Kokomo. Just a big fan, and I'm excited for Scott, his brother, who's taken over at Grace. How do you follow a legend? And Jim Kessler, who was on the bench in Winona Lake for 41 some odd years, and just a big fan. As a matter of fact, Scott was on the coach's box with us a couple weeks ago, and just love the kid to death. He's one of those kids that just got such an amazing passion for the game, and he's going to be successful down there at Grace College. Now they counted 0-2 here at Kennedy. Yeah, Matt Moore, one of the best all-time players in the Crossroads League in my 20 years of doing basketball in the league. Here's a pitch on the outside corner. Now they count 1-2. When you get a big group of coaches together who've been successful as athletes as well as coaches, and that certainly is nothing but positives for the student athletes.
Oh, that's exactly right. And that was one thing that Matt Moore was about, that he wasn't about earlier, is bringing guys to just come, be around my boys. Matt Cherry, varsity baseball coach, hey, you come, do whatever you want. We just want you to be around here.
Comebacker. Swingley goes over to second, and he will not be able to make the play. Second baseman just a tad late getting to the bag, and I think Swingley, I'm just guessing, was so concerned about making the throw that he took 2 steps off the hill to make sure the throw was there to get the lead man.
Yes, which is great. You want to make sure you get the first out. Get that first out at second base, and yeah, I think we were playing some holes. We weren't really playing up the middle, so a long way for the middle infielders to get the second and get the 1 out. Almost got it at first, but now we got 1 out, man, at first. Let's do another double play.
Brings up Nathan Taggart, the senior first baseman. He's 0 for 2 today. Number 14 hails from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Prepped at Blackhawk Christian High School, a 6'1", 205-pound senior.
And he's got 2 balls on the ground, 1 to second, 1 to short. So good candidate to get that double play.
Once again, Kwame Moss, straightaway center, moderate depth. As in, once again, it's a breaking ball here to start the. Have you been able to develop, and I know you're not charting these, have you been able to sort out what Sully Swingley likes on his first pitch? There's a breaking ball, tattooed down the left field line, going towards the softball complex, and it's on the softball field.
You know, the nice thing that he's been doing is it seems like they've gone through a scouting report, have an understanding of Taylor's hitters, because he's mixed up, starting with fastball and starting with the curveball.
Here's a breaking ball on the outside corner. So he was inside, now he comes a little bit outside. Now the count of 2-2. I like his compete level.
Yes. Does he change up here?
He goes fastball, looks like. Fouled off to the right. Could be trouble. And running out of real estate. And now the count will remain at 2-2.
Out there, no man's. I like right there, especially after, breaking ball, sends it down the line a pretty good way, nice curveball away, and then says, I'm going to challenge you with a fastball. As you were talking about, the poise of Sully on the mound. Again, just really, really neat to see that. A lot of growth taking place.
Yeah. Sullivan Swingley, the left-hander, delivers. Base hit into center field. Kwame Moss is there. That holds him to a single. As Kennedy moves to second. That'll be the 6th hit off the freshman Bethel hurler.
And that was just out of the reach of second baseman.
That'll bring up Ben Calbaugh, the freshman catcher. If you look at this Taylor lineup up and down the line, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 freshmen starting. For Bethel, only 1 senior. For Taylor in the everyday lineup, they've got, in this particular grouping, Taggart, Whitman, and Lane, all 3. So a wide variety of young players for both squads playing here today. Another breaking ball. Now the count at 1-1.
Yeah, I noticed that youth, and the nice thing about Taylor is they have a few more seniors to be able to give that, just that understanding to help hold guys accountable for what needs to be done.
Here's the 1-1 pitch, rocketed off to the right and out of play. You've been blessed during the course of your time when you were in the big leagues to get a chance to share your faith in Christ in so many wide variety of platforms. I remember, if I recall, and have to help me out if you were in Cleveland or Boston, but I know you had a chance to go speak. Was it at the Pentagon one time?
It was at the Pentagon, yeah.
Tell me about that experience, if we can filter that one in and out. Here's a pitch, and I tell you what, if the first baseman was on first base, they would have easily had the runner.
Yes, they would have. And I was with Boston, and we were playing Nationals, got in there, and I don't even remember how exactly I got the call. I think it was through some baseball chapel connections, and the guy there was like, hey, we're having this little thing. You want to come talk at the Pentagon and do a little bit of our chapel? And I said, I don't know.
Was that an intimidating factor going into that building? I'm sure it had to be.
Yes, there was. And you got a little tour of walking through hallways, and they all just look the same. And to think about some of the most powerful people being behind some of these doors.
Sure.
That was a really interesting thing to see. And then we get to the spot where I'm able to go and speak a little bit. And I'm like standing up there going, I'm a couple years in the big leagues, and here's a guy with a few stars on his chest. And
yeah. Here, the 3-2 pitch, finally, that'll be a base on balls, and now the bases are loaded full of Taylor Trojans as Calbaugh is able to pick up the walk. Trouble brewing here.
And here's Sully calls out the catcher, and I don't know if he's maybe feeling a little tired or something, or hurt, or the fact that he is, again, as we talked about, smart enough to say, hey, I need a second. I need to take a deep breath. Why don't you come out here and talk to me so I can make some good pitches?
It looks like we got a pinch runner for Calbaugh, the freshman catcher. Is that Jonathan Foster, number 12? All right, so Foster is going to be running for the. And now Kyle Boynton, the pitching coach, is going to be coming out to the bump here to discuss pleasantries with his starting pitcher, who had thrown 73 pitches coming into the inning. And obviously with the bases loaded right now, it's going to be Sean Luzon who's warming up in the bullpen. But right now the pitch count for Swingley, 96 pitches at this stage. Justin, he's at the situation right now. We're here in the 6th inning, 96. All right, so you've got two mentalities going on here. I want him to compete through this adversity right now with one down, bases loaded. I'm still in the game, realistically down 3-0. But the other aspect is, boy, I tell you what, if he makes a mistake here, we're in a boatload of trouble, right? So, what are you thinking here? What do you want if you're the manager here, or Seth Zartman?
I think Seth, as he's looking at it, says I got a young freshman. A freshman is going to be young, but he's out here. He's competing his tail off, and he walked this last guy, but more or less he's looking at him saying, hey, this is your last chance. Like, this is your last guy. Don't worry about the next guy. You go dominate this guy, and then let me worry about what takes place next.
Connor Crawford with the bases loaded with one down. Breaking ball caught the outside corner. How about that pitch?
Great changeup.
Once again, it's not. I don't know if that's a situation where Sully's making the call there, or if that's calls coming from the dugout. Here's the 0-1 pitch. There's another breaking ball. Mason Love, the catcher, trying to frame that ball for the home plate umpire, trying to move that in, missed the mark. Now they're kind of 1-1.
I think we have Sully's elbow. He's motioning to the dugout that someone needs to come out and kind of talk to him, and he kind of gave unfortunately a little.
Yeah, you can see right now he is holding that left hand, and now Ashley Ort, the Bethel certified athletic trainer, is going to, who had a stellar career here when she was a college basketball player playing for Jody Martinez, now back here as a certified athletic trainer. She's going to take a look.
And this is never a fun time when you have a pitcher out there who, and I think that was maybe why he called the catcher out the time before, felt a little something, rocking, and then he.
That's going to be it for Sully Swingley. Seth is going to take him out here. Now, my gut feeling that will be 98 pitches for Sully Swingley as he gets a nice round of applause. Just really a gutty effort by the freshman.
Yeah, I think he did an incredible job. It's unfortunate that has to end with a little pain like that, but the adversity that he went through was throwing strikes, making good pitches, and really, again, as you looked at it, has kept the team in the ball game, which can sometimes be difficult when the other starter is doing such a great job.
I've known you your entire collegiate and professional life, and you're one of those guys that didn't want to come off the mound, even despite the fact that you were injured. How many times did you go out there in the pitch and you didn't tell anybody, you just said, I'm going to will myself through this?
Probably way more times than you're supposed to. A few more times than my agent would have told me to, because sometimes it worked out well, and then other times it made it where the game didn't happen so much. But always wanted to be that guy that kept on going out, and thankfully, all the things that I dealt with, for the most part, were not super significant. Enough where they caused some drama in your life, but didn't ultimately shelf you for too long.
But realistically, when in the big picture of it, the injuries really finished the career. So it's one of those situations where I'm not asking you to go back and look at life through regrets, but the reality of it is your bodies fall apart. Let's just face it, that's what we're kind of dealing with. And the athlete that this is what marvels me about guys who are pitching when they're 39 years old and 40 and whatever the case may be. Number one, that God physically allowed them to stay injury-free. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It's really an amazing thing when you think about it.
That is one of the most impressive things, because even what got me initially was a torn oblique. 2013, which I still think, the only time looking back, there's not really regret, but the only thing that I could have done better was rehab that better. And that may have turned my career a little bit quicker. But then again, I know that God's working through it all.
Sure.
And He got me to where I am right now.
Right here in the broadcast booth,
right here.
We'll take a look at the Bethel pitcher right now. Coming in now for the Pilots, it's going to be Sean Luzon. He is 0-1 on the season with an ERA of 4.22. This will be his 4th game as a pitcher. He has 1 start, 10 2/3 innings pitched, given up 13 hits, and here's the ball popped up off to the right and out of play. First baseman Spira makes the catch in foul territory. That is a huge out.
Yes, it is. Yeah, really nice pitch right there. Fastball away. The hitter did nothing to take anything. He said, "I'm coming out swinging," and little odd delivery, if you will, arm angle as his body kind of goes out the way, comes over the top. Great job.
And that'll bring up the top of the order in Nick Rushy. Rushy, the freshman second baseman. He's batting here from the left side. Nick on the afternoon, 0 for 3. Grounded out, 4-3 in the first, struck out in the third, flew out to the right fielder, Jake Shalaski, the last time at bat. Once again, Sean Luzon in the ballgame after, and here's one hit on the nose. Kawambi Moss is there to make the catch to the retire the side. A huge opportunity for Sean Luzon. He grabs the spotlight and shuts down the Trojans in the inning. In the inning, no runs. There were collectively only 1 hit. There were no errors and 3 men left on base. Boy, I tell you what, some quality pitching for Sean Luzon right there.
Oh man, that's so great. And I know Sully went off with a little elbow, but he to be able to have that confidence. Hopefully, there's nothing significant going on there. To not have any of those added runs thrown in there just from a couple hit by pitch and walks, and I mean that's just great by Luzon to get in there and shut that door quickly.
Once again, line score reads as is: 3 runs on 6 and no errors. Bethel has been hitless today, 0 runs on 0 hits and no errors. As a matter of fact, Clay Riggins has been absolutely picture perfect thus far today. Has not given up a base runner, and in addition to that, he has struck out the Pilots on 1, 2, 3, 4 occasions. You've been in this situation. I watched you in this situation as the game and the pitches mount, knowing that you're close here. You're thinking about no-hitter, and please, we know that you are. Because you know what that scoreboard looks out there, and you're thinking about this. When does it become a mental thing for the pitcher to block it out? As the first pitch is for a strike?
I think in one sense you know where you're at, but you also have such a high confidence of your stuff that you're just getting after it, as if like, I don't think anybody can hit me.
Here's one coming back to the screen now to kind of 1-1. It's Shalaski, Laffey, and Kermode. Jake Shalaski, 7, CM Laffey in 8, and number 18 Seth Kermode in the number 9 spot, the bottom of the order. Here's a breaking ball, a swing and a miss. That's a dandy pitch right there. Now they're kind of 1 and 2.
It is, and to come back after pulling a slider and then to throw a pitch like that, that's that confidence just exuding.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. He tried to bend that one off at the last moment. Now they're kind of 2 and 2.
And we've seen that a lot of him today. A lot of off-speed pitches. Has a good fastball, but also really utilizing that off-speed pitch.
Here's one. He went the heater and he struck him out. He says, "Try to catch up with this one, big fella." Don't think so. That's 1 up and 1 down. And I'll bring up CM Laffey. He showed him a little bit of everything in the repertoire that time.
Yes, he did.
Laffey is 0 for 1 this afternoon. Struck out in the third. Clay Riggins in his first start. Here's a ground ball in between play. Riggins hustles over to make the play. How about the Taylor pitcher?
To get over on that ball, we were just talking to the young pitchers the other day. Anything hit on the right side, you make sure you get over to first base, because you never know, even though that ball was almost right to the second baseman, you never know if your first baseman is going to go try and get it. And this was that exactly. First baseman goes a little too far, but pitcher's over there to cover.
That'll bring up Seth Kermode. Just a fundamental, perfect play by the Trojans' first baseman and the pitcher. Seth Kermode 0 for 1 this afternoon, grounded out to the pitcher. Here's one hit on the nose. Center field's coming in. He's going to try to make the catch, and that'll be the first hit of the ball game off of Clay Riggins. So the no-no going bye-bye here in the sixth inning. An excuse me single.
There it was. Great effort by the center fielder, but he could not run fast enough to get there.
The old thing is you got to hit them or they ain't. Wyatt Whitman, the center fielder, gave it a good ride. Now we go to the top of the order here in the sixth inning. Breaking ball, a dandy. That'll be a strike as Jake Wilburn takes the breaking ball.
Now this brings some life into the Pilots. See if they can get something going with 2 outs.
Pilots a 3-0 trailer here in the sixth inning. Here's the pitch. This one misses the mark. Now they got it 1-1. Bass, Whitman, and Crawford, your outfield for Taylor. Lawson, Lane, Rushy, and Taggart, your infield third to first. The battery of Clay Riggins and Ben Calbaugh. And now here's a strike. Now they're kind of 1-2. A spectacular effort by junior Clay Riggins. The Bloomington South product has had the A game today. The 5'11", 190-pounder delivers comebacker. Second baseman will step on the bag to retire the side on the force out. And just like that, the Pilots, no runs, 1 hit, break out the band. No errors and 1 man left on base. And at the end of 6 complete, 3 runs on 6 hits and no errors, no runs on 1 hit and 1 error. And for the Riggins, how about the effort? 68 pitches.
Wow. I mean, he's been efficient. I think you can see why he's had so much success with the off-speed stuff that he has, and a fastball that's hard, even if is a little straight. But to show his success today was his ability to throw his off-speed pitch for strikes. I mean, that's what, he might yank one, but then that next one was going to be in there for a strike. And that's one of the biggest things as you're pitching, as you're growing, to make those adjustments. And the key to throwing your off-speed pitches for a strike will set you off to that next level.
I would be ashamed as a broadcast journalist to not bring up the subject that your time in the big leagues, your favorite guys you had a chance to play with, and some of the guys you had a chance to compete against. So let's throw out some names there from our audience of who's some of your favorite teammates of all time, for whatever the reason may be.
Oh, yeah. Javi Lopez in Boston at the beginning, Dustin Pedroia, Alex Cora. I mean, you had Josh Beckett was fun. Mm-hmm. Mike Lowell was just a funny guy. I mean, just nice guy to be around. And then you got, Corey Kluber and, Jason Kipnis and Joe Smith, who's one of my favorites of all time, just a sidewinder who we share the same birthday. And, Travis Hafner, Grady Sizemore. I started running through it, and I've had a lot of really neat guys to be able to be around.
Yeah, I know you had a chance to taste some of that postseason success, too. We'll talk about that here as the day goes along. For Sean Luzon, who came in, he's got Josh Lane, T.J. Bass, and Wyatt Whitman. Lane, who started the game in his first at-bat on the first pitch in the second hole of the game with a home run. And now he sees a 2-1 offering.
Yeah, one of the hard things after you come in to shut down a high-energy situation is then to go back out and keep that same energy and try and pump the strike zone.
Here's a breaking ball, and was able to bend that one off for the second strike. Now the count at 2-2.
Great way to come back from 2-0 to get it back to 2-2.
Here's the 2-2 look. Here's the pitch, and they're going to home plate umpire is going to look down to the umpire down at first base, and that check swing is denied. So the count will be at 3-2. 3-2 look, 3-0 Trojans here in the seventh inning. Here's one hit off the fist. First baseman will make the catch as James Spira is there. So 1 up and 1 down.
was an emergency hack right there. High inside
Yes,
fastball. Popped it up to the first baseman.
You know, you mentioned something during your talk today at the FCA about some impact that people made in the early stages of your career. And, you know, Tanya and I were talking about this earlier today. A friend of ours who's a basketball official had sent us a photo of a umpire who was beaten by a coach in an AAU game, in a basketball game. Broken clavicle, bruise on the brain. His face looked like he'd been in a prize fight with Mike Tyson. It was just, you know, AAU sports, travel, baseball. There's a wide variety. There's always good and bad in everything that you do. Let's put our qualifications on that part of it. But you know, your kids are going to be at the age one day where you've got to make a decision about AAU and travel sports.
Right.
Have you and Merrill given any thought to that, knowing some of the things that are out there, or are you gonna go out and coach them? I've set you up, bud. There's a pitch inside. That'll be ball 4.
Yeah, you have set me up. For me, I didn't go through all those avenues.
I know, which is so rare.
Which is rare. So when I see it, and having played at the top level, that's not necessarily how it has to be done, but every parent thinks it has to be. And when they don't, then they start their own team, and there's money to be made, and control and power, and kids are just playing way too much, and they're not playing enough different sports.
Oh, here's a ball rocket into left field. That could be well hit, and that ball is gone. Wyatt Whitman with a 2-run bomb, and the Trojans have busted it open. It's now 5-0 as Sean Luzon's pitch was drilled right from the second he went out to bat. That's a big hit right there.
Yeah, it looked like he was seeking out a fastball and got exactly what he was seeking, a fastball out over the plate, and was able to drive it to the left center gap.
Now it's 5-0 in favor of the Trojans here in the 7th inning as Sean Luzon, who pitched with 3 pitches in the bottom of that 6th inning to get out of that jam. And that's not the case here as he has run afoul. And here's a swing and a miss now by Brett Lawson. Lawson has been a pain in the pilot's side all day. Base hit in the 2nd, double and an RBI in the 4th, and he was hit by a pitch. He's been on the base paths every time as he was on base in the 6th inning. Here he is on the 7th inning with nobody on. Luzon, this one's off the fist. That's going to be a base hit in the left field. Number 15, he's got his game on today.
When your day's going good, it just keeps on going. The rich get richer.
And I think we're going to have a courtesy runner here now for Taylor University. Looks like they'll go in with Kyle Kelsheimer. Kelsheimer, a 5'9", 165-pound senior who prepped at Wabash High School. So he's going to be running for Lawson. Kelsheimer here in the 7th inning. And this is something that you never had to deal with in the big leagues with all the courtesy runners. So there's so much.
Trying to figure that out.
So he can come in, he can go out, he can come in. And there's a lot of nuances to the game at the college level that has developed over time. Here's the first pitch now here to Andrew Kennedy. Kennedy, the junior designated hitter, who has reached on a fielder's choice in the 6th, flew out in the 4th, and also walked in the 2nd inning. With all the nuances of college baseball, I remember when you were batting, you loved to get up there and swing the bat.
Absolutely. I mean, that was some of the most fun that was out there. Not that I always did it well, but it was great to get in there and swing the bat. Even in high school now, I'm seeing there's a lot of pitcher-onlys. And I go, I couldn't even imagine that.
You know, you made the decision to go play in the Cape Cod Wooden Bat League. And I've been out there during the summer. Tanya and I've been out there one year. We went up to Cape Cod, and the Wooden Bat League brings a tremendous amount of talent.
Yes, it
and
does.
a unique dynamic there. All the little towns playing against each other. And can you speak to an experience you had with that?
It was. I will say I'm thankful to Coach Zartman, who made a few phone calls to some people in order to get me to have that opportunity to be there. But then to go, and I joke because I was just a temporary player, just there to fill the gap until the real players come, as I often say. And actually allowed me to get to swing a little bit, pitch a little bit, and then eventually did well enough that they asked me to stay the entire summer as their closer. But it was just, you go, people are passionate. The host family I stayed with were so great, and just an experience, which, the Cape Cod is that, but so many different summer leagues, just to be out there and experience that type of lifestyle is just really neat.
Kennedy strikes out. That'll bring up Nathan Taggart, the senior first baseman. Taggart 1 for 3 on the afternoon. And it's such a unique situation. Here's the ball thrown by Luzon to the first baseman. It gets past him. Now the runner's going to take the wide turn, and he's going to end up on third base. And that'll be an error on the Bethel hurler, Sean Luzon.
Still nothing hurt, though, there. A little airmail, a lot of room over there on the right side in the foul territory. Goes to third, still 2 outs, make some pitches here, still get out of it.
The bats today are different than they were when you were playing in college. And certainly when you had to make the transition from aluminum bats here in college and all of a sudden going and playing with real wood bats in the Cape Cod Wood Bat League. So how much of adjustment was that for you when you guys initially made that move?
Well, as a hitter, it was not so fun. But as a pitcher, it was tremendous. It was great. You start throwing some pitches inside and you see bats break instead of getting little jam shots that go over somebody's head. This is great. Where have wood bats been my whole life while I've been pitching?
Yeah, one thing about those aluminum bats, sometimes you get those seeing eye singles that only aluminum can provide.
That's the truth.
Here's the 0-1 pitch by Luzon. This one's in the dirt. Nice butterfly save there by the Bethel catcher, Mason Love. Looked like a hockey goalie down there.
Yeah, it's the way to keep it in front of him.
Now the count at 1-1 here to Taggart. Due up Ben Cowbaugh, the freshman catcher. 2 down and a couple in. Here's the ball hit off to the right. Shalaski, the right fielder, is there to make the catch to shut down the inning. The Trojans pick up a pair of runs, and in the inning there were 2 hits and there were no errors and 1 Trojan left on base. Line score at the end of 6.5. 5 runs on 8 hits and no errors. 0, 1, and 2. As now it's Sean Luzon with 23 pitches. How do you like the way you worked that there, Justin?
It's great.
We'll move on here now to the bottom of the 7th inning. Once again, in case you're just joining us, it's been my privilege to have this guy in the broadcast booth. We had a chance to do this when he was a freshman in college back in 2004, right? And then 5 as a sophomore.
Yep.
Before he moved out to San Diego State. And one of the unique dynamics of that time when Seth was coaching, this was early on in Seth's career. He had taken over from Mike Hutchin, of course, who had went out to the Air Force Academy. One of the most unique stories of all time. And this, if you don't believe in God, this story will make you believe in God. Justin was on a trip to Michiana to see another school. And if you don't think that the stomach flu and a wide variety of things and just the change of pace will happen, so I'm going to give you the setup here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was signed, sealed, delivered, supposed to go to Notre Dame. And all I had to do was sign a contract or sign my scholarship, got here, stayed with my cousin overnight at Bethel College. We hung out, woke up in the middle of the night throwing up. The next day, throwing up all morning, call them, say we got to reschedule. They ended up saying, we don't want you. And so by default, ended up coming to Bethel College.
Here's a nice play by the pitcher, Clay Riggins, again on the leadoff man in the inning, Brandon Diss. That'll be unassisted 1 for the first out.
Which I don't know if that's the best defensive play right there. As he went, he should have probably tossed it to first base. It's a little bit of a cluster over there, but still able to get the tag.
We'll bring up Kawambi Moss, the sophomore catcher. So you make the call over there, and they say, well, I don't think so. And so I'm going to figure I'm just going to stay here.
Well, I told every other school that I talked to I was going to Notre Dame. And then finally I didn't want to go back on that. I was like, well, Bethel's been pretty good. My sister's there. I got a few cousins. And Tim Ertl, a professor here, was just hardcore about getting me here. And that guy's been in my life.
Oh, he's awesome.
My entire life. And when someone looks at you and said, the Lord is really telling me that you should be here. And back to your point, if you don't believe in God, he was definitely working in my life at that point in time.
Yeah, well, there's no question about that. And when you think about the story, and it's really an amazing one, because then you look back on the stellar career here, and you look at every step of the way. As Kawambi Moss picks up a base on balls, that will be the first walk of the ball game for Clay Riggins here, and it comes in the bottom of the 7th inning. He's only given up 1 hit, and that didn't last too long because the runner was then erased, and that'll bring up Mason Love, the junior catcher. Pilots a 5-0 trailer here. Kyle Gould is going to make a pitching change. It looks like it's going to be Cole Barkas, the 6'2", 200-pounder from Blackhawk Christian High School, as he gets a nice round of applause. We'll finish Riggins with 74 pitches. Before we finish the story, let's just talk about the performance by Riggins today. Really a dynamic performance in his first start of the year.
Yeah, in the first start of the year, he just did an incredible job. The one thing about starting is no matter what you try and do, that day feels different. You get the butterflies, and his ability to work through those butterflies, come out, and really big thing was being able to throw that off-speed pitch for a strike. Having that really nice curveball that went in there, to complement that fastball, which made those high fastballs look better than they actually were, and kind of forced our guys to swing at those. And he just kept on battling, never gave up. And then you look at here at the end, ends up walking a guy, again, got behind with some of that off speed, but you look at it, that's what his bread and butter had been all day. And being a reliever and throwing, where was he at, 70-some-odd pitches?
Ended up at 74.
74 pitches. That's more than you typically do.
Yep.
And so I'm sure he's getting a little tired out there, and just really fun to watch.
Let's take a look at Cole Barkas. This will be his 10th game of the season. He's 1-1 overall with an ERA of 2.12, exactly identical to Clay Riggins' ERA. He has 5 saves, 17 innings pitched, 11 hits, 6 runs, 4 earned runs, giving up 9 base on balls, 28 strikeouts. He's given up 2 dingers, and teams are batting a paltry 183 against him, and he's going to be coming in here into the bottom of the 7th with a runner at first, 1 down, and now the cleanup hitter for the Pilots, Mason Love, at bat. Mason Love in league play is batting .229, 9 RBIs in his Crossroad League games. He hits one inside out, and that'll be a base hit down the left field line. Moss takes the wide turn, and he's going to be safely at third, and that'll be a double for the big fella. As some Pilots are trying to make some noise here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
And took the approach there at the plate to jump on the first pitch fastball, not wait behind, and had a really nice piece of hitting it other way down the line, and the outfield was a little bit thinking that he was going to pull the ball, and just a great job.
And that'll bring up Luke Adams. Adams 0 for 2 on the afternoon, the Bethel shortstop, and once again we'll have a courtesy runner.
Courtesy.
Mason Love. Mason Love is. And it'll be Andrew Bobeck, one of the Bethel starting pitchers. So can you imagine yourself in a position as a pinch runner?
No.
I think yet either.
Not with this body.
I would say even with that body many years ago. I wouldn't have a. Oh, here's just like that. Adams gets beamed. I love you, man, but I tell you what, that was not one thing. You're not going to win a lot of foot races.
I will not win any foot races, and that's
you
okay.
win against me. Bases are loaded full of white, blue, gray, and black jerseys. The Pilots. It says Zartman. This is exactly what Seth's been talking about all year long.
This is it.
Right here. Bases are loaded. There's 1 out here in the 7th inning. You got a chance to get right back in the ball game, and it's a 5-0 Taylor lead. And they're putting the bat in the hands of James Spiro. Let's see what James can do. James on the year, a 122 hitter. This is where you got to put your big boy pants on and come through here from the left side.
Yeah, you got to not think about what's been done.
And he hits one deep to right field, and it's going to be foul. Well, he was out quickly on that fastball.
I mean, he took the strategy, which I like. When you struggle and say, hey, I'm going to come out and I'm going to hammer that first pitch, and he didn't take he took a really good hack. When you're trying to cheat on a pitch, that's what it should look like.
Here's the 0-1 look now with one down. Here's a pitch. This one for a strike.
And then you get a breaking ball that probably was a little down, a little inside. It's called for a strike.
Barkhouse in relief of Clay Riggins. Here's your 0-2. Perfect time for a strikeout if you're the Trojans here now. And Spira asking for time.
Yeah,
What's more frustrating for a pitcher? That or anything else? Fill in the blanks. You're getting into that mental zone. What does this guy need to take a timeout for?
Well, that's one of the ways that you teach hitters in order to break up the rhythm of a pitcher.
Exactly.
Is to call time and to break that up, so they have to think more about what they're about to do.
Here's the 1-2 pitch on the outside corner. He tried to paint it black. Couldn't. It's 2-2. Is there a guy that you faced that was notorious for just messing up your timing every time you turned around?
Not too particularly, but I'd move pretty quick, so you get a lot of guys who would try.
Here's a pitch a little low, and now the count is full. Now here you're in a great position if you're James Spira. Count is full, bases are loaded. You're a 5-0 trailer. Lean that elbow out there and get hit by a pitch. Do something to get a run. Here's one zip down the right field line, foul and into the bullpen.
And this is the time when, for Taylor, they have the lead. It's 3-2, bases loaded. They want to throw a strike, so it's more likely going to be a fastball.
Let's see what Barkhouse does. The right-hander delivers this ball hit deep down the right field line, and that will be foul again. He's getting out in front on him, no question about it.
It is, and it's leading to maybe them trying to be a little tricky here and doing a 3-2 off-speed pitch.
Here's your 3-2 pitch now with one down. The right-hander delivers, and that'll be ball four. That's a good at-bat,
yes,
as we've seen all year for James Spira.
Yes, that was – you look at that right there, and having not seen anything else, we go, that doesn't look like a just over 100 hitter. He took a really good AB, some really good swings, and especially as Coach Sartman talked about in this situational hitting.
And that brings in a run and an RBI for James, as Kyle Gould will make the walk out to the bump to talk things over. Do you have a favorite meaning on the mound story? Or are they all? Or how much time do we have, right?
They're all, yeah. One of my favorites, and I love Carlos Santana. He was my catcher, almost my personal catcher for a little while, sometimes because he riled up some other people going after it. But one time, Tim Belcher, who, again, one of my favorite coaches I've ever had, he gets a little fiery, comes out and, kind of gives the, hey, what pitch you want to go here? And Carlos Santana starts saying, hey, I think we should throw. And Belcher just looks at him and says, no, I was not talking to you. I'm talking to Jeff.
Bases loaded with one down, 5-1. Taylor here in the bottom of the seventh. Pilots right now with the tying run at the plate. And now it's a save opportunity. Now they count at 1-1. Shalaski, the right fielder, another one of those Bethel young guys. Pilots have lost 5 straight in this series. Here's one again, and this one beans him. The Pilots will take it any way they can get it at this stage. It's now 5-2 on the hits batsman. The same problem earlier for Barkhouse as he beans the second man of the inning, and now the bases remain loaded, and it's a 5-2 ball game.
I think any team will take any runs any way they can get them.
Exactly.
But especially right here.
The Pilots have only scored 9 runs in the 7th inning all year. And here's a pitch now to 1-0 now to CM Laffey. Laffey 0 for 2, struck out and a ground out. Infield, double play depth, breaking ball. Oh, that's a dandy pitch there.
Yeah, not well caught by the catcher, but still a strike.
1-1 scenario with one down.
Good job calling time, break up the rhythm. Pitcher's trying to move quick.
Shenandoah product Cy Stanley warming up in the pen for TU, and another hits batsman. And another run will score. Well, Justin, I know you've beamed a couple guys in your career, but I don't believe you've had the old-fashioned hat trick.
I don't think I've had the hat trick in one.
And it's now a 5-3 ball game, and Kyle Gould, I think he is going to give Cole Barkhouse the hook here. And he goes out there immediately with that hand extended. There was no doubt about it. That was going to be the it for Cole Barkhouse. So a difficult time. He was matched up against 5 batters, and all 5 batters. And for Barkhouse, 16 pitches on the afternoon for him. And when it's all said and done, that is certainly creates a unique dynamic going into this one. Still the bases loaded. And it's a 5-3 ball game, and now you're talking about a base hit, and you're talking about a tie now.
That's exactly it. And, unlike Riggins to start it, the control was just a factor. And, of course, he hit the guys, but even before that, off-speed pitches in the dirt, fastball's a little bit high, and he was moving really fast as a pitcher, and maybe he was trying to move a little bit too fast and needed to take a few deep breaths. But in favor of the Bethel College Pilots, and a chance here where being hit has been good, but for some good situational hitting, again, to work on that and see if this can be a breakthrough time for this young team.
You look at it now, Cy Stanley's coming into the ball game. He'll be the 3rd pitcher. What was bizarre was we started this inning, and it was cruise control for Clay Riggins. Clay Riggins was outstanding. He'd given up his first walk here to the second batter of the 7th inning, and that just kind of steamrolled. Now Cy Stanley will come in. Let's take a look at Cy Stanley on the year and what we can expect from him. Cy, 3-0 on the season. This is his 13th appearance with a sparkling ERA of 1.54. He has 1 start underneath his belt. He has 2 saves, 23rd and a 3rd innings pitched, given up 11 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 22 strikeouts, 13 walks. Teams are batting a 139. So once again, good opportunity for Taylor. You're a double play from shutting the door on the Pilots. On the other hand, if you're the Pilots, look out. A base hit, and we were tied, which seemed like a game that was on cruise control for TU. Here's the pitch by the southpaw. He delivers a swing and a miss. Seth Kermode, 1 for 2 on the afternoon.
I like it. Getting a big hack in on a first pitch fastball.
Once again, the Bass, Whitman, and Crawford, your outfield, left, center, and right. Here's the pitch, foul back to the screen. Now the count at 0-2. Infield, Lawson, Lane, Rushy, Taggart, and the battery of Cy Stanley and Ben Cowball. 5-3 Taylor here in the home half of the 7th. And some activity in the BC pen as well as the TU pen again. Now the count at 1-2.
It's a good eye right there. Close pitch on the outside.
3 runs on 2 hits and 2 errors. Here's the southpaw's delivery. Oh, a swing and a miss. He went fishing. Seth Kermode strikes out. Now we'll move to the top of the order. That'll be the 9th man to bat in the order. It'll be Jake Wilburn. Wilburn, who is 0 for 3 today. And now it's a big sigh of relief for Kyle Gould and the Trojans over here to our left. Let's see what Wilburn can do. Wilburn, who's done an outstanding job since transferring from IU South Bend. Oh, a nice breaking ball there for a strike. Wilburn batting .347 and .311 in league play. 5 ribbies, a slugging percentage at .396, and an on base at .431. Bases loaded, 2 down. Here's the pitch, foul back and out of play. Now the count at 0-2. So pitcher's got the advantage here, Justin. What do you think Cy Stanley's going to do here? Is he going to floor it around and try to paint the corner, or is he just going to bring the heater?
He's going to break off a breaking ball like he did for the last at-bat for a strikeout, because hasn't really showed it too much, and is just going to try and put him away.
And there it is, ground ball towards the first baseman. He'll make the call, and he steps on the bag to end the inning. The Pilots push across 3 runs on only 1 hit, no errors, and 3 Pilots were stranded. You know, Seth has been concerned about his left on base. Because of Clay Riggins' success, he hasn't had anybody to leave on base. So that's where we're at now as we've gone through 7 complete. 5 runs on 8 hits and no errors for the visitors from Upland, Indiana, the home team from Mishawaka. 3 runs on 2 hits and 2 errors as we move to the visitors' top of the 8th inning. And a change in the Bethel pitching staff as the Pilots are going to make a change. They're going to call on Matthew Peach. Matthew Peach will be the 3rd pitcher. Matthew, a 6', 185-pound product of North Montgomery High School, lives in Crawfordsville, Indiana. We'll take a look at how number 14 has performed. Peach so far on the season, this appearing in his 5th game, he has an ERA of 4.50. He has only pitched 4 innings this year. He's given up 7 hits, 6 runs, 2 earned runs, struck out 5 and walked 4. He's given up 2 triples, and teams are batting .368 against him. And the left-hander. So Stanley threw 7 pitches and was outstanding in his ability to shut the door on that rally, as that one got out of hand for Cole Barkhouse. Moving along here, due up for Taylor University. It'll be 8, 9, and 1. Ben Cowball, Connor Crawford, and Nick Rushy. Looking at the early pitching opportunities here for the left-hander. What are you seeing here, Justin, from the Pilot pitcher?
Yeah, he's mixing and matching his arm angles. You know, likes to go from over the top, likes to mix in that little submarine-style fastball just the same. So it'll be neat to see with just 4 innings under his belt as he continues to grow and develop. But that's not easy. I've seen a lot of guys try and work really hard to do dual arm angles and not always successful, but there are certain guys who has proved to be really successful for him.
Ben Cowball, followed by Connor Crawford and Nick Rushy. And here's the first pitch for a ball. Now we're getting deep into the Pilot bullpen where the youngsters have really struggled to make plays. Pilots offensively, because of their ability to get back in it, have given these young pitcher opportunities. Now it's for their responsibility to make sure they maintain.
And this is what we call a shutdown inning, where the best thing a pitcher can do after your team scores some runs is pound the zone and get you back in the dugout so he can get back up to the plate.
2-1 now the pitch. Matthew Peach, the southpaw, delivers. Missed the mark. Oh, my goodness. Generous call on the outside corner. Did you see what I saw?
I did.
Okay.
It was well caught.
It was. He framed it perfectly, didn't he? Here's a pitch. That one was outside. That was one of those just a bit outside.
That was exactly it.
You knew that was coming, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
3-2 opportunity here now to the leadoff man, Ben Cowbaugh. The sidewinder tries to paint the corner, and he got him.
Hey, if he's going to call that one before, he better call that one too.
Now, number 34, Ben Cowbaugh walks back to the dugout. You can tell by his body language he wasn't really happy. That'll bring up Connor Crawford. Now here with 1 down. Peach tries to paint the outside corner. Didn't get a break there. Now they're kind of 1-0. Connor Crawford on the day. A couple flyouts. Came around to score on an error on an unearned run in the 5th. Bunt attempt on the third base line. Catcher will try to make the play, and he nearly airmailed one. But a great play by the first baseman to make sure he held on to that by James Spira.
And that was a really good bunt right there.
That's a base hit.
Yeah, waited late, dropped it down, stayed down the line, forced the catcher to try and make that play, which it was a long ways for the catcher to go try and make that play, and he's quick enough to get there.
Okay, taking a look at Matthew Peach. He's majoring in mechanical engineering. Here's a ball hit off to the left. His favorite interests are naps and long walks on the beach. His favorite team is the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Steelers. So if I were to give one of these sports information things to you now, how decidedly different would it be compared to when you were in college? Do you think about it? Because I didn't come up with this idea.
Right.
Because these were prepared for me back in the day. So how decidedly different would they be? Breaking ball for a strike. That's a beautiful pitch there.
Yes.
Now they counted 0-2.
Crazy enough, there'd be some similarities. You know, that I haven't changed a whole lot, but I did see on there a Peach favorite player, Trevor Williams, which I got to play with him a little bit, and is really incredible guy.
Here's a pitch and a beautiful throw down there by Mason Love, and out stealing to close out the inning. So a beautiful play there. We'll go 2-6 on the put-eight. And, Justin, we're going to continue on with that conversation. I'm going to let you off the hook on that one. In the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. But if you look back on the time you were here in 2004 and 2005, and I were to ask you as a college athlete, who was your favorite athletes in 2004 and 2005? Can you remember that from way back?
Well, what's neat is that there was consistency because Scott Rowland was one of my favorites, and simply because he tossed me a baseball his rookie year when I went to a Reds game. He was with the Phillies, sitting behind the dugout, just kind of like caught the final out, tossed it to me. And, that was actually when I was younger and started throwing with it, saying, if I'm going to pitch in the major leagues, I better start using this baseball. and so it used that. Frank Thomas was the big hurt, was always one of my favorites. And what was neat is, I got to face him in the big leagues, tail end of his career. King Griffey Jr. got to face him at the tail end of his career. But some neat things. And then looking at like pitchers, Roy Halladay, if you're looking at one of my favorite pitchers, has always kind of been one of my favorites. Just his presence, the way he pitched, and his ability to, whether he gave up no runs or 5 runs early in a game, would be able to go 7 or 8 or even 9 innings almost every single time he went out.
Due up for the Pilots here in the home half of the 8th. They're a 5-3 trailer as they'll start off with Brandon Diss, the number 2 hitter in the lineup, followed by Kawambi Moss and Mason Love. Diss, Moss, and Love. And in case you're just joining us and you don't recognize the voice that's sitting to my immediate right, is Justin Masterson, former Bethel standout, and of course was American League, made the All-Star team, one of his successful seasons in Cleveland. I bet you that had to be the most surreal experience of all time. I remember Tanya and I were watching the game, and we saw you out there with all those legitimate stars of the game. And not to say that you were not, but it was your first opportunity. Were you at any point in time, whether it be in practice or in the clubhouse, did you get starry-eyed? Did you get that feeling like, what the heck am I doing here?
No, crazy enough, that the only time I ever had that was when I first faced King Griffey Jr. But for the rest, I don't know, appreciated guys were guys. He was just another guy. But it was neat as it was Mariano Rivera's final All-Star game, and being there when he went in the 8th inning, opening up that gate for him to come in was just, that was a surreal feeling as he does, enter Sandman, and he's running in, and just the fans going crazy. Just something you can't even really dream up.
Brandon Diss, 3-1 situation. Here is the pitch a little high, and that'll be a ball. Base on balls to start out the inning. When you look back on a career like a guy like that, what a specialized skill set that he had. The Boston fans will love him still to this day, despite the fact that they're probably more of a pain in his backside. But a couple big hits in Red Sox history that he gave up in that historic first championship run. I'm sure you heard those stories from your teammates.
Oh, without a doubt, heard all those stories. Even our bullpen coach had been in New York for a while, and so he'd share the stories also. But I always enjoy playing against guys who are incredibly gifted, but also incredible men of character, and he was one of those guys.
Here's a swing and a miss by Kawambi Moss. Now the count at 0-2 to the number 10, the sophomore for Bethel College. Moss, I checked that as a junior. Why did I say that? Here we go.
It's
Here's
my
the
fault.
0-2 to the – well, that is all on me, man. They're going to make out the card. Here's the pitch by the left-hander. Breaking ball, strike 3. Dandy pitch.
Yeah, that's a tough breaking ball on the outside corner, just coming back around, catching that corner. Not one that you're trying to look for.
Going to bring up Mason Love, another transfer from IU South Bend, who calls Monmouth, Illinois home, a 6'3", 180-pounder. Batting here from the left side. He takes ball 1.
What a great job throwing out the runner, which we talked about before has been maybe a difficulty.
It has been. It's been catching by committee with this Bethel team, and you know as well as I do that when you have that receiver back there, and there's not a lot of stability, and the Pilots over the years have had some great ones. Make no mistake about it. That if you don't have that, that's got to be some problems.
Yes, they are the field general, the sergeant. You know, they are leading the way for your team, and if you don't have that stability, it can make it difficult, especially as a pitcher, a catcher, to know who you are as a pitcher.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, breaking ball. In case you've never been to our broadcast location, 327 down the left field line, 321 down the right field. Power alleys, 365. We've seen 2 of them go across the fence in the power alleys for Taylor. 385 straightaway center. As once again the Pilot Mason Love hits one right up the middle, and that'll be a base hit. Runners at first and second now. Well-timed ball right up the middle, and Love now 2 for 4 on the afternoon as Brandon Diss scoots on over to second base. And we talk about the park here. Obviously, question number 1 here from our fans here with us. Favorite Major League ballpark to pitch in?
Oh, it's a pitch in. I really enjoyed Safeco Field. I just thought being out in Seattle, the look of it, it was a big ballpark, so balls aren't going anywhere. I mean, one of the coolest places to play for me.
We're going to have a pitching change, as that's going to do it for Cy Stanley. Kyle Gould has said, I think I've had enough of that. And so we started with Riggins, who was literally picture perfect for 5+. And now the new hurler for Taylor University is coming on to get some instruction from the longtime skipper. By the way, congratulations to Kyle on his earlier this season. He was able to pick up his 500th career win. What a very, very special situation for him. It's going to bring up number 27. It's going to be Mitch Hubler. Hubler, a 6'1", 205-pounder from Avon, Indiana. We'll get some numbers for the junior here. So the worst place to pitch is
Tampa Bay. I mean, Tropicana Field is – I mean, there's no question about it. That place is –
Well, you were quick on the call on that one.
I mean, the favorite park it can be difficult because Fenway Park was really cool, even with the Green Monster that was close, and it sometimes turned homers into doubles, but sometimes turned outs into doubles. Just a neat place to play, and like Old Yankee Stadium was really cool even though I'm not a super sentimental history type of that, but still like thinking of the people who had been there and all that was there was really neat to be able to have a chance to play there. But Tropicana Field is just, it's a dome that is turf, and it's not fun for anybody.
Mitch Ulber is coming in. Hubler on the season 0-2. This will be his 15th game he's appeared in, with an ERA of 1.64. He's got 4 saves underneath his belt. He's pitched 22 innings coming into today's game, giving up 11 hits, 7 runs, 4 earned runs, 14 walks, 36 strikeouts. Teams are batting 143 against him. And the big right-hander, you've had a chance to see him throw a couple balls here. Got an opinion on him in the early stages of his warm-ups?
Yeah, like most of the staff for Taylor has a really nice breaking ball. Has been getting it in the zone, pretty good in warm-ups. And a fastball that comes in pretty straight, but seems to have a little bit of velocity behind it. And I don't know if for Taylor, everyone was kind of sleeping a little bit because they were up 5-0 and feeling good about themselves. But starting to get a little wild and not be on their game, especially like Riggins was for the majority of this game.
Sure.
And so we'll see what he can do here.
Runners at first and second with one down for the Pilots here in the bottom of the 8th. As it's Luke Adams. Adams retired 6-3 in the second, 5-3 in the fifth, was hit by a pitch and scored a run in that very adventurous 7th inning for the TU staff.
And back to Love, how many times you see it where a guy makes a great play defensively and comes, gets a big hit?
Yep, and here's a swing and a miss. Now the count at 1-1. The fourth pitcher for Coach Kyle Gould thus far.
Another one of those situations for Bethel College to see that clutch hitting. If we can grow and try and get something going.
Here's a pitch, outside corner for a strike. Now the count at 1-2. On deck for Bethel will be James Spira. Spira, who had a big hit in the inning the last time, was able to pick up an RBI, and those have come few and far between for him. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Ball hit the other way for a base hit. Nice piece of hitting for Adams. Runner's going to take the wide turn. There's going to be a throw at the plate, and he is a dead duck.
Yeah, great hit to the right side. A little hanging curveball. Didn't break down as much as the pitcher probably would have liked, so good piece of hitting to drive it to the right side. And Coach Z taking a risk, and unfortunately ended up getting a great throw from the right fielder to get him at the plate.
Sometimes you tell your guys we're going to go for it.
Yeah.
And you're going to say to the right fielder, you're going to have to make the perfect throw to beat me. And I'd much rather be out. I love Seth's mentality there. Instead of sitting here, bases are loaded, and the next thing you know, you've got as Kyle Gould is going to make a change, making some defensive changes.
And let's be honest, with the lack of situational hitting that's been taking place, right, you got to take that chance.
Right. Here's your 0-1 look with 2 down now for James Spira. Spira takes one just inside. Now the count of 1-1. I'm just a big fan of going down swinging. I mean,
yeah,
if it makes any sense. I would much rather be sitting on the sideline knowing that I left nothing to chance. Here's a pitch foul back to the screen. Now the count at 1-2.
That's a great swing at a high fastball right there. I'm thinking he's going to come with that hard breaking ball that he's been throwing on this next pitch.
Spiro, the junior first baseman. Runners at first and second with 2 down. Home half of the 8th. Pilots a 5-3 trailer. Mitch Eubler looks back over his shoulder, and runners go back respectively to their respective base paths. The center fielder is shaded about 15 paces. Wyatt Whitman to the right side of the second base bag from our vantage point straight on. The 1-2 look with 2 down. The right-hander delivers breaking ball high. Now to count even at 2-2.
He's having trouble with those late breaking balls. He throws the good ones early and then tries to overthrow them to get the guy out.
The 2-2 look with 2 down. Here's the pitch. Strike 3 call to end the inning. You got to somehow, some way take the bat off the shoulder there. A pair of strikeouts.
It's a tough one when you're thinking that a guy's got a good breaking ball he's going to bring down there, and instead throws the cheese at the knees, if you will.
Cheese at the knees. In the inning, no runs, 2 hits, no errors. A pair of Pilots have left on the base pass. And once again, it was a great throw to home plate that really turned the inning around. Kudos to Connor Crawford, the right fielder, who threw the Bethel runner out at home plate, and that really kind of changed the tide and the look of the inning. Then we'll move to the 9th inning, and for the Trojans, who lead by 2 on 5 runs on 9 hits and no errors, 3 runs on 4 hits and 2 errors, it will be Josh Lane, T.J. Bass, and Wyatt Whitman. As Josh King is now on the mound. Here's an interesting story for the Pilots. Josh King, who was scheduled to be the Bethel ace of the staff who was injured during the offseason, had some issues with his back during some off-season work, and what should have been his stellar senior campaign has been, he's only seen some spot looks just because he's still trying to get things together physically. And here's a situation where you talk about how God works in people's lives. Here's a kid who was looking for a stellar senior season and just hasn't had it because of some injuries.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things that people don't understand is that when you do have an injury, it's not just the physical aspect of coming back, but that mental aspect of my body's trained itself to usually feel this when it happens, or I tried to throw through something and now my body is stepping differently, or all these different little things that can come in that just cause difficulty that when you're finally healthy, you don't realize how many things you have to work through in order to get back to full strength.
Yeah, Josh King, of course, who hasn't seen a lot of action this season for the Pilots. If you look at where he's at thus far, Josh King, with this is only the third game he's pitched in. He's 0-1, only pitched an inning and 2/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, and he's given up 9 total bases, and has got 1 strikeout and 1 walk. And a guy whose career was outstanding, just trying to get some final reps in before he calls it a career. He certainly has been one of the Pilots' best players. And if you look at his favorite all-time athlete baseball player, it looks like it's going to be Javier Molina and the St. Louis Cardinals in the Chicago. I don't want to talk about those guys, Chicago Bears. What is that? Josh King, come on. Lifelong Packer fan, we can't go there.
Hey, he loves Molina, which is probably one of the best catchers I've ever been around.
Yeah, no question about that. So Josh, we'll see what he can do as he continues to stretch out here as he gets underway here in the ninth. He's got Lane, Bass, and Whitman, respectively. 5-3 Taylor here in the ninth inning.
And this is a great situation for him to still feel the I don't know, just the energy of the situation where you're down 2. You're still in this game, and there's an opportunity. So this is like a closing situation, if you will.
You need to keep the team close. 1-0 on that first pitch to Lane. Lane, who led off here's the ball hit on the nose, but right at the athletic Kawambi Moss. Moss makes the catch. I know one of the things that I reflect back on when you were playing, whatever level it was, is that your mindset was, I'm going to throw strikes, and I want my guys to catch the ball behind me.
That's it.
It's how simple as that.
It is. And everyone wants to throw the strikeout, and strikeouts are sexy and all that type of stuff. But if you allow a guy to just put that ball in play early, let your defense do the work, I mean, just like right there, fly ball, confidence goes. You got the first batter of the inning out, and just gets you excited for the next guy.
Last time I looked, a layup is the same amount of points as a 2-hand monster thunder dunk.
That it is.
0-1 scenario. Here's the right-hander, King, with the delivery. Took a little bit off on that pitch. Now the count at 0-2. Wyatt Whitman on deck. Bass on the afternoon. He has reached base 3 of the 4 times, a pair of hits and a walk. He's been productive in that number 3 spot for Kyle Gould's lineup. Here's a breaking ball, and that'll be strike 3. Josh with a nice bender there. That's his first strikeout.
Yes, and he just looks really good. I'm guessing that one of the things, having not really seen him much or seen him before, is that with the injury, maybe lost a little bit of his velocity that he once had. And that's a hard thing when you come back and you can't reach back for the same things that you once had, and you have to try and change the way that you pitch a little bit, especially when you've been pitching like that for most of your life.
That buzz you heard on my phone was my Marine calling, Randall Ryan Condry, who considers himself the biggest Justin Masterson fan of all time. Now he's out of the Marine Corps. Glad to have him home, albeit we're glad that he's here with us. That's what's good if I did that. We got a little banged up, and tell you what, count those blessings every day. So I think that phone call was wishing you the best. And that is Whitman getting beaned. That was an unconventional beaning right there. That was the lollipop curveball that hit him in between the numbers.
That's the one where you look at him and go, boy, oh boy, you're just lucky I didn't hit you with the fastball.
Absolutely. So of all the guys you've beaned, how many of you thought were going to come out and say, mano y mano, right here, me and you?
Nobody. I didn't think anybody would. Nobody did. I'm not saying I hoped it would happen, but like in your mind, you always think it could. Like one of the games we had was Cavelli Cripps. He got hit by James Shields and ends up running, charging the mound, and the two of them just swinging punches at each other. And I was just waiting for that to happen in my life, and nobody wanted to come hang out with me.
It's that righteous anger out there that you get when you're throwing the ball. I mean, the funny thing we've talked about this. I think you and I've had this conversation over the years. Now the count 0-2 here now to Brett Lawson. They're, I think, one of the greatest athletes, competitors, Christian athletes to ever play competitive sports was Reggie White. Mm-hmm. Reggie White, just a tremendous man of God and who's doing his business in heaven right now. And I look at him when he stepped over the line, he wanted to rip your head off. If that was legal, that's what his job was going to do, and he was going to do it with passion. But he'd be the first guy, here's the ball getting away from the catcher, and the runner will be safe on the wild pitch. But my point is, Justin, I always felt that during the time I had a chance to watch you play, it was very Reggie White-like, is because I'm going to go out there and I'm going to compete at my highest level, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. If I have to bean you on the butt, I'm going to bean you on the butt.
That's it, and I think that's the freedom where people would always try and say because I was a Christian that I'd be softer than everyone else. And I said, no, it actually freed me to play harder, to work harder, and to go out there and within the game. Like, I am going to dominate you, and that's just how it's going to be. And if I need to hit you, and that's part of it, well, then I'm going to hit you. I'm not hoping to, like, end your career by any means, but I'm going to protect my players. I'm going to play the game the way it's supposed to, and that's a part of the game. Just like, Reggie would do that same thing. After reading his book and just following him, same type of thing. I'm going to go out there and play as hard as I can and just pump up everyone around me.
2-2 situation with 2 down. King, the right-hander, delivers. Slow roller to Adams at short, gobbles it up, throws the runner out. 6-3 on the putout. In the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors. 1 man left on base. We'll move to the home half of the ninth. It looks like this. Pilots trail 5-3. Taylor 5 runs on 9 hits, no errors. Pilots 3 runs on 4 hits and 2 errors. Due up for BC, it'll be 7, 8, and 9. It'll be Shalaski, C.M. Laffey, and Seth Kermode. That's 7, 8, and 9. I'm guessing we may see a pinch hitter or 2 in the lineup for Seth as he's trying to rally his troops. In case you're just hopping along here, Taylor with a run in the first, a run in the fourth, run in the fifth, 2 in the seventh. The Pilots were able to literally manufacture 3 runs on 3 hits batsmen, a walk, a double, and make that 2 walks in their big inning in the 7th. But the story in the game really up until this point in time was Clay Riggins, who the junior hurler for the Taylor Trojans, who had it stuck on automatic into that 7th inning. But after he left the ballgame, the Trojan bullpen, Barkhouse, Stanley, and Hubler have been adventurous. I like to use that word there.
That's a good word for it.
He moved to the 9th inning. All right, now due up for the Pilots. All right, so let's talk about the mentality here you got going on right now. Shalaski, a guy who's going to be leading off here, has struggled in some situations, batting .320. With this will be his. He got 24 hits, 4 doubles, 11 RBIs, and after you get past Shalaski, then it gets really interesting because Laffey has struggled and Kermode has struggled at the plate. So it's up to Shalaski to get something going. He needs to get on base.
Yes, and the key here is to see some pitches and try and have a good at-bat. And you can't swing early because you got to give an opportunity for everyone to get ready and know that, hey, this guy has a good chance of he's thrown some balls high. He's thrown a lot of balls. He's not afraid to walk somebody. So give him a chance to make some mistakes.
First pitch is fouled off to the right and out of play is Mitch Hubler. From the pause, here's the pitch. A little low, now the count at 1-1. Shalaski was hit by a pitch in the 7th, struck out in the 6th, grounded out in the 3rd. That's where we're at. Suns started to come back out from behind the clouds. Just a picturesque day here at the ballpark at Patterson Field. Here's the 1-1 look. Swing and a miss. Now the count at 1-2. Shalaski, the freshman, needs to try to get aboard here and try to make something happen. The former Crown Point Bulldog. 1-2 look. Here's the pitch. And that one's outside. Now the count at 2-2. Pilots trying to end a 5-game losing streak to the visitors from Upland. The last time the Pilots won, you ready for this one, Justin?
I'm ready.
They beat Taylor at Taylor 21-20.
Wow.
Back on the 25th of March, 2017. That is some getting out the whooping sticks.
That is a ball game there.
And that was on the road, so I did not do that game. But the game's Trojans have won 2 straight here on the road. Here's a swing and miss, drop third strike. The runner is going to be thrown out. And that'll bring up CM Laffey. Laffey, the junior, hit by a pitch, strikeout, and a ground out. It brings a new baseball out to the home plate umpire, Luke Popakowski.
Again, another key here, make him throw a couple pitches. Don't let him get back in that rhythm after getting that one out.
Here's a pitch inside. Before you get out of here, we need to, if someone would like to get involved in the Fortress Foundation, what can people do to help? Let's give you an opportunity to plug that right now.
You know, to be honest, our goal is to get people to get out there and to support something. We don't even really care to say, hey, come towards us, come support us. But we want to encourage every single person to think outside themselves and to go try and impact lives in a positive way and not just get stuck in doing the things. And sometimes that's just helping the neighbor lady, that's helping the guy down the street who needs some gas money or something like that. But just to start getting in that mentality of this world is much larger than just I.
Pop-up is caught by the shortstop. The Pilots are down to their final out. Here is Seth Kermode.
And thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you big time. It's been awesome to be able to sit in this broadcast booth the last 16 years. There's a swing and a miss here. I have Seth. Now I was now looking at a 1-1. There's been a lot of times we've been talking about you when you were in the big leagues. I know your ears were not burning. But the bottom line is when here's a pitch getting away. One of my favorite moments, non-Justin Masterson moments, I was embedded with the Marines for about 10 days in San Diego. I had one day off, and Eric was pitching. Eric Stoltz, a former Bethel standout, also was pitching. And I was standing out on the field just talking to Eric. We're just getting caught up on some stuff, and here's a ground ball to the shortstop. It's going to be a 6-3 put out. That's going to end the game. But I want to finish the story. But Eric and I are standing out here right before the ball game, and Eric grabs me and says, "Paul, come over here and stand right here." I didn't realize I was just running my mouth. You know how I am. And they're going to go through all the pregame stuff, the national anthem and stuff. I was totally oblivious, because we were talking about how God's working his life and this, that, and the other, and we're standing there. Next thing you know, I see the camera guy coming along here, and Eric and I are getting ready to do the national anthem. So we stood there in San Diego and had a chance to be a part of that, and it was just a great opportunity to be a part of here. We love you, man.
Love you too.
Thank you so much for being here today. Sorry we couldn't get your alma mater here a win here. Once again, the final here in this one, 5 runs on 9 hits and no errors. the Pilots 3 runs on 4 hits on 2 errors. The winner today, Clay Riggins. The loser, Sully Swingley. Certainly pitched well enough to win, but once again, it's a situation where the Pilot bats needed to get some hits for him today.
Yeah, you can't do it yourself, but it was really neat to see, just a really great effort out of the freshman and some high hopes for the rest of this season where I think he grew and for things to come.
Over the course of the last 24 hours, we've had a really difficult time. We've lost 3 of our great young Marines who were killed in Afghanistan, and I certainly want to pass along our thoughts and prayers. Staff Sergeant Christopher Slutwin, one of them, a good friend of a friend of ours who was from New York, who was killed while he was on his deployment. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those men and women who continue to fight, serve, and protect us each and every day. That's going to do it from our broadcast location here at Patterson Field at Jenkins Stadium. Special thanks to Kyle Gould, as well as Seth Zartman for their accessibility. Hearty thank you to Andrew Bowen and, of course, my main man here in the broadcast booth. I don't know what I would do without the guy here to my immediate left. Tell you what am I going to do with you when you leave? Find someone else. There we go. All right. For Justin Masterson, I'm Paul Condry, and on behalf of all of us, and for all those Bethel fans who have joined us who knew about Justin going to be out there, I hope that was a fun time to spend with you in the afternoon. And we'll be back with you again next Tuesday with more Bethel baseball. For all of us at Regional Radio Sports, God bless you all. Semper Fidelis. Good night, everyone.